So Ipswich are promoted to the Premier League. That means we have a very happy commentator this afternoon in Alistair Ball. And when you are buoyant and jovial and in a great mood, who better to have alongside you than Chris Sutton? Here they are.
Thank you, Mark. Perfect timing. The whistle blows to get us underway. Chris Sutton not best pleased with me either. I went for a little refreshing drink about 10 minutes before kick-off and opened one of those plastic bottle of waters that buckled in my hand, Chris. It was a bit like the champagne, the Ipswich Town champagne, spraying all over you and soaking you here at the back of the North Stand.
Yeah, had a great start from you, but a massive afternoon ahead, haven't we?
We have Claret and Blue Burnley attacking the goal away to our right-hand side with the cricket field behind that stand. The Newcastle fans packed in there, their team in the black and white stripes. Burnley winning the ball high up in the Newcastle half early on. Into the penalty area it goes, and Lyle Foster fizzes across in there. Sander Berger's onto it just outside the Newcastle penalty area. In support is Vitinho, and his cross blocked by Livramento at the near post. Burnley have won themselves an early corner, Chris.
Yeah, a really positive start from Burnley. It was actually Lewis Hall, the Newcastle left back. Dallied too long and the ball was caught out. Wasn't the best cross from Foster in the end. And the other Burnley attackers, but they got a chance now to put Newcastle under pressure from the corner.
So keeping an ear out for Sheffield United against Nottingham Forest in particular. Nottingham Forest starting the day level on points with Luton just outside the bottom three. Burnley 2 points behind the pair of them. Here is the Burnley corner, floated deep, touched down and then driven across the face of goal. No one could stick it away. Immediate clearance looking for the chasing Anthony Gordon, dealt with by Vitinho on the halfway line, and he's Dara O'Shea with a long high ball into that Newcastle penalty area. Goalkeeper Martin Dubravka thought about coming, left it to Livramento, he volleyed it away, and then Bruno Guimaraes was fouled. So that will be a free kick to Newcastle, and they will take that quickly. They've given the ball away to Burnley. Here's Odebear on the right-hand side. Early stages at Turf Moor on 5 Live, the BBC World Service and the BBC Sounds app. Here's Sander Berger. Berger plays across to Vitinho again. Vitinho will come back to the halfway line, still 0-0. John Hunt has the news of the photo finish at Newmarket.
And the outsider of the whole field won it, Ali. 7 questions at 33-1, ridden by Callum Shepherd, and trainer George Scott has just beaten Vadrim and Beautiful Diamond.
Great start made by the home team. Burnley here. Martin Dubravka quickly off his line to deny Jakob Brun Larsen. It was another long ball over the top of the Newcastle back line. Here come Burnley again, having taken their throw, looking to get the ball in from the right-hand side, and eventually Lewis Hall is able to clear it away. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, a lot of talk about Burnley's principles of play this season, playing out from the back. But it's a really good long ball from Muric, and Larsen off the left-hand side, got him in behind a high Newcastle backline, one-on-one. His shot was blocked.
So I'll give you the two team lineups in just a second, and just to correct myself, just before kick-off I told you there that Burnley would be out of the bottom three with a win here today if Nottingham Forest don't win at Sheffield United. It's actually Nottingham Forest have to lose that game at Bramall Lane, and a Burnley win would then take Burnley out of the bottom three. But goodness me, Burnley have started well. Brownhill playing the ball into the edge of the box, another strike from Brun Larsen on the right foot is dragged wide, and that is a goal kick for Newcastle.
Yeah, and Vincent Kompany revving the crowd up, saying he needs more. Interesting selection, Brownhill this afternoon, getting the nod ahead of Fofana. He's playing in behind Foster up top. He's made some decent runs. It's a really positive start from Burnley. They need to be clinical this afternoon though against this Newcastle team. A lot been made about Newcastle's away record, but you look at their front line, on their day they can hurt any team in the Premier League.
Starting with Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak this afternoon, just in case you hadn't heard that in the team news. Newcastle have lost the ball inside the Burnley half. Burnley playing across to the left, so they've got Muric in goal. The back four is Assignon, O'Shea, Esteve and Vitinho. Odebear and Jakob Brun Larsen on the flank. Sander Berger, Josh Cullen, and Josh Brownhill has come into the team today for David Datro Fofana, as Chris was just mentioning, with the South African centre-forward Lyle Foster leading the line for Burnley. Newcastle have Martin Dubravka in goal. Back four of Livramento, Kraft, Byrne and Lewis Hall. So Kraft in for the injured Fabian Schär. Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon on the flank. Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes in midfield. Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak up top. Burnley coming forward again. Lyle Foster could be in inside the box. Dan Burn saves Newcastle. Big long left leg comes sliding in and clears it for a throw.
Chris. Brilliantly Dan Burn does, because Berger, great little burst through the midfield and slid the ball out to the right hand side of the box. Foster looked like he was in, but all of a sudden that big left boot of Dan Burn gets out and pokes the ball away from danger.
Thrilling title race in Scotland as well. Celtic in action this afternoon against Hearts. It's Rangers Kilmarnock tomorrow. There's been a goal at Celtic, early one. Connie McLaughlin.
Celtic 1, Hearts 0. 14th goal of the season for Kyogo. It was a perfectly weighted cross in by Matt O'Reilly, and Kyogo was there to put the ball into the back of the net. A win today would put Celtic 6 points clear with 3 games left. Celtic 1, Hearts 0.
So 5 minutes in at Turf Moor. Throw in from the left for Lewis Hall. Good run made by Anthony Gordon, playing under the watchful eye of Gareth Southgate, the England manager, this afternoon. Ball is worked over to the right-hand side. Darting run made by Murphy. Still has the ball wide on the touchline. Longstaff makes a little run for him. So does Livramento, who's forward in the attack. Back it comes to Murphy. There's the bright blonde hair of Bruno Guimaraes and the orange boots. Sliding challenge on him from Brownhill is a good one. Newcastle come forward again. Here's Livramento. Back to Guimaraes. Burnley with their first real bit of concentrated defending to do. Guimaraes makes a run into the penalty area. Wilson tried to lay it into his path. The ball gets away and goes behind for the Burnley goal kick. So the other crucial game in the relegation battle, kicking off at 3 o'clock in the Premier League this afternoon, is at Bramall Lane. Ladies from Maz Faruqi.
No here, Ali, but what a chance for Chris Wood in the opening minutes. He should have slotted it into the back of the Sheffield United net. Somehow he put it wide of the left post. He missed good opportunities against Man City last weekend. It was another good one here in the opening minutes. It's goalless, 6 minutes played between Sheffield United and Forest.
The other 3 o'clock kick-off in the Premier League this afternoon, Brentford-Fulham. Henry Moran.
Two sides that are safe for a certain lack of intensity, I think it's fair to say, but entertaining nonetheless. Fulham with the early chance, João Palhinha with a shot deflected over to win a corner.
So we've had all the drama of the final day of regular action in the Championship season for you on 5 Live since midday. Now we're concentrating on the Premier League and that title race in the Scottish Premiership, keeping an eye on Livingston as well, who could potentially be relegated today. Chris Sutton 7 minutes in at Turf Moor. Very bright start made by Burnley, although Newcastle just coming back into it last couple of minutes.
Yeah, more positive start from Burnley. A lot made about Newcastle's away form, a lot made about Newcastle's injury issues this season. It certainly affected their back line. They had that consistency in selection. Bit of a makeshift back line with Kraft partnering Dan Burn at centre-half and Burnley pushing.
Yeah, they come again. Assignon, the right back, up to the edge of the box. Newcastle got to be careful with the tackles. Assignon goes down. Referee Anthony Taylor is not having that. He was right on the spot. Assignon was wriggling in between a couple of challenges. He's stayed down in the box now, and Anthony Taylor says no penalty, and he is waving the protests away. Chris, we're a long way away. Monitor in front of me is not working, but we might just be able to have a look at the one on your right.
Yeah, it's brilliant feet from Assignon. Drives into the box, goes past Bruno Guimaraes, and there is the slightest nudge.
Yeah.
Is there enough contact for him to go down? I mean, there is a fair bit of contact, enough for him to go down. Assignon's still down on the turf, and that's the fact that it wasn't initially given. Was that a clear and obvious error?
That's the question, Chris, but that to me, having seen the Arsenal penalty today given for the challenge on Kai Havertz, that on Assignon, there's actually more contact there than there was on Havertz.
Well, yeah, there wasn't any contact on Havertz. The situation there, if Assignon, he's through, he gets a shot off. I think Burnley are really hardly done by there, I do.
Burnley 0, Newcastle 0. So Burnley starting the day on 24 points. 2 points behind Luton after their 1-1 draw against Everton last night. 2 points behind Nottingham Forest, who are currently 0-0 away to Sheffield United. Brun Larsen drives a deep free kick to the far post, headed back across goal. Brownhill is up, little flick on from him. Chance for Lewis Hall to run onto it, drives a left-footed clearance. Anthony Gordon goes racing onto that down the left-hand side. Brun Larsen sticks with him, but Gordon gets to the ball first. Floated cross from him towards the edge of the area. Interception from Dara O'Shea comes thundering back, and he nods it behind for a corner to Newcastle. I had a feeling we might get an open game here this afternoon, and it's definitely started that way.
Yeah, and O'Shea does well to get back. A wonderful ball over the top for Gordon on that left-hand side, who in turn crosses the ball in. O'Shea, he's a warrior, isn't he? at the back for Burnley, heads the ball behind, and a chance for Newcastle.
So Newcastle attacking towards the two-tiered Jimmy McElroy stand away to our left-hand side. Fabulous view, as always, afforded from the commentary position here at the back of the north stand, across the roofs of the Bob Lord stand, the roofs, the houses in the distance, the green of the hills, the soot-stained tall chimney that stands out, the Burnley flag flying at half-mast in memory of their great player Leighton James. Lewis Hall on the turn, hits a shot that's blocked inside the Burnley box. Here's Livramento, pass out to his right, cross comes in from the right, that's headed straight up in the air. Dan Burn challenges, and then the ball goes looping up in the air, and Muric comes charging off his line, catches it, clears it, high spinning ball. Oh, Livramento miscue with the header, but Lewis Hall is back there for Newcastle and has this covered and caresses a ball down the left-hand touchline. Assignon stretches out a leg and knocks it out for a throw. Burnley 0, Newcastle 0.
And Isak had just made a run into that left-hand channel. I don't think Isak has actually had a touch yet. Opening period of the game. Just going back to that possible penalty for Burnley, Assignon would have got a shot off in that situation. He was put off. That's a big moment for Vincent Kompany. I think he's felt that his team have been on the end of some pretty harsh decisions this season.
Well, our producer Andy Gillies had his eyes on Vincent Kompany as Assignon went down, both arms out wide from the Burnley manager, appealing for the penalty. Super League game underway, Hulkingston Rovers against St Helens. There's been a try, Matt Newsom.
Yeah, okay, I've got it. It was Jai Whitbread's charge down, got the ball back for Robbins. Beautiful kick from Mikey Lewis, hung under the post. Tyrone May dotted it down. Lewis kicked the goal. Hull KR 6, Saints 0.
Just talking the other code as well, European Cup semi-finals this weekend. Sports Extra has commentary of Leinster Northampton for you at 5:30 this evening. Here on 5 Live we'll have full commentary on Manchester City at home against Wolves. City 2 games in hand on Arsenal. Arsenal have beaten Bournemouth by 3-0, so their lead is once again 4 points. And tomorrow afternoon on Sports Extra, 3 o'clock kickoff, the other European Champions Cup semi-final. Full commentary on Toulouse against Harlequins. Burnley 0, Newcastle 0. Burnley on the ball inside the Newcastle half. Assignon prominent again. Cross from him hits the legs of Hall. Gordon chases the rebound. Assignon just beats him to it. Isak nearly got a touch on the ball. Assignon got there first and prodded it away from him.
He did brilliantly, running back towards his own goal. Muscled Gordon out of the way, and Isak. Tenacious play from Assignon.
Former Premier League winner Chris Sutton with us here at Turf Moor. Livramento with an interception. Guimaraes brings it out for Newcastle up towards Wilson. Good turn from Wilson on Esteve. Not going to get the free kick. And Anthony Taylor tells Callum Wilson to get to his feet. The crossbar has been struck in the game between Brentford and Fulham. By whom, Henry Moran?
Brian Mbuemo of Brentford. Quick breakaway. Williams' loose pass allowing Tony to find his strike partner. Ball deflected onto the crossbar. It remains Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Muric has given the ball a good thump forward, the Burnley goalkeeper, way beyond Lyle Foster and into the arms of Martin Dubravka. The other thing to mention in the team news today, by the way, from Newcastle's point of view, is players returning from injury. So Nick Pope on the bench today, having been out since early December. Callum Wilson starting today. Joe Linton's missed the last 17 games. He's on his way back and on the bench. And Miguel Almiron also on the bench. So quite late in the season that for Newcastle, Chris, with 3 games to go. Still pushing for Europe. They could still play a part.
Yep, absolutely. They had a bit of a dip, didn't they, a couple of months ago? They sort of found the way back in and got the opportunity of a European spot. And last season, I think that in many ways they overachieved. This season it's been a bit of a struggle, but they're there and thereabouts again. Starting today in 7th, 2 points above Chelsea, who play West Ham this weekend. 1 point behind Manchester United, who play against Crystal Palace on Monday night. And Newcastle 3 games after this one, so they do have 1 extra game. Brighton at home, Manchester United away Wednesday the 15th of May, final midweek of the season. Brentford away on the final day. So 3 of the last 4 games for them away from home. And as Chris has been saying, their record at home, 39 points in the Premier League this season. Away from home, just 14 points. Only Sheffield United, Luton and Nottingham Forest have picked up fewer points away from home this season. I mean, that's incredible.
It is, isn't it? Long ball forward towards Assignon, brilliantly brought down. Assignon running at Newcastle defenders and driving a left-footed shot straight at Dubravka.
What a start to the game. Assignon has had the Burnley right back marauding forward, chopping inside, tries to find that far top corner with his left foot, but straight at Dubravka.
Now here's Isak on the ball on the left-hand side, trying to knock it past Dara O'Shea and collect it the other side. Now plays a 1-2 with Gordon, sweeps a low ball which is easily intercepted by Vitinho. A lot of space for Vitinho to run into. Glides between a couple of challenges. Sean Longstaff comes back to try and get in his way. Little pass flicked into the path of Berger. Wide it goes on the left-hand side. Step over from Brun Larsen. Shot well blocked by Livramento. Right, big moment in the game at Bramall Lane. Mas Faruqi.
This was not in the script for Nottingham Forest. Penalty for Sheffield United. Ben Brereton Diaz brought down as he ran onto the ball in the D, just the edge of the area by Montiel, who's gone forward now and just been booked by the referee, Chris Kavanagh, for trying to disrupt Ben Brereton Diaz's rhythm as he's just preparing to take this spot kick. Matt Seltz has been sent back to his goal line as well as Ben Brereton Diaz takes a few steps back, edge of the area, hands on his hips. Chris Kavanagh about to blow his whistle, reminding all the Forest players to stay outside of the area. What a big moment this could be in the relegation battle. Brereton Diaz steps forward and fires it past Seltz into the back of the Nottingham Forest net. And it's another difficult start for a match for Forest. They trail here. Sheffield United 1, Forest 0.
Right, if Nottingham Forest lose that game and Burnley win this one, then Burnley move out of the bottom three and above both Luton and Nottingham Forest. Muric, the Burnley keeper, clears downfield. 6'6" Dan Burn heads the ball away into the Burnley half. Played forward rather aimlessly this time by Josh Cullen, and Lewis Hall comes back to Martin Dubravka. Another try in the Super League. Matt Newsom.
Yes, St Helens have equalised 6 apiece, only lasted a couple of minutes that lead. Jack Wellsby just dancing through the cover, totting down, kick from Percival. Hull KR 6, Saints 6.
Celtic leading Hearts by a 1-0 in the Scottish Premiership, starting the day with a 3-point lead over Rangers, who play Kilmarnock tomorrow. Ross County 0, Hibs 1. Brownhill now chasing one of those long clearances forward. Livramento gets his body in the way and shepherds the ball out for a goal kick. Chris Sutton.
Every time the ball has gone back to Muric, Burnley haven't tried to play, it's just one long ball in behind, and whether it's Assignon, the Burnley right back, or Brownhill, the Burnley midfielder, there's always a runner in behind, and he wasn't far away. It's a high line from Newcastle.
Dubravka's going to take the goal kick for Newcastle. He's sort of in lime green colours this afternoon. Great flick on by Wilson. Gordon jumps for the next header. Assignon prods it forward. Guimaraes with the first time pass, brilliantly brought down by Callum Wilson. Angles tight for him. Now Wilson goes down inside the box, immediately gets up, and the referee is going to give a free kick to Burnley, and Callum Wilson gets booked for diving. Esteve came in with the challenge. Wilson went down, I think realised his mistake, Chris, tried to get up and sort of pretend it hadn't happened. Anthony Taylor right on top of it.
Well, he's better than that, Callum Wilson is. There's a tiny bit of contact, but he goes down, and I think it's more out of embarrassment than he hauls himself up off his feet. He knows he tried to play the referee there, and I like that from Anthony Taylor.
Okay.
Yellow card.
Do you think Eddie Howe thinks, well, why isn't Assignon getting booked for going down at the other end in similar circumstances?
Were they similar? I'm not so sure they were.
I went for similar-ish. Not exactly.
There's a difference between similar and similar-ish.
Not entirely sure. 18 minutes gone in the first half. Sheffield United leading Nottingham Forest by a 0-0. Brentford 0, Fulham 0. Arsenal have beaten Bournemouth by 3-0, and this is Burnley 0, Newcastle 0, with a couple of penalty shouts already in this game. Highlights as ever of the Premier League action. Match of the day tonight, BBC One at 10:30. Always available on the iPlayer as well. Livramento steaming forward for Newcastle, lays it off to Alexander Isak, who's looking for his 20th Premier League goal of the season this afternoon. Crossing from Murphy. Isak saved by Muric. Rebound knocked in by Callum Wilson. Well, that's a real blow for Burnley, who'd started this game well. That happened as quick as a flash. Eddie Howe starts both strikers today. Isak's shot brilliantly saved by Muric, but Wilson right on top of it, and it's Burnley 0, Newcastle 1.
And that's always the danger with a team of Newcastle's quality. Eddie Howe always sets his team out to play expansive attacking football. In fairness, Burnley have been the better team, but Newcastle work it down that right-hand side. Initially, it's a driving run from Livramento, who pops it off, and the ball eventually goes out to the right-hand side. Isak makes a run across the near post. Pace on the ball, a left-footed effort. It's actually a smart save from Muric, but it just falls for Callum Wilson, who he's the one who's proactive, expecting where the ball is going to drop, and he pokes it in with his left foot.
2 goals in 2 games for Callum Wilson, off the bench against Sheffield United last week, scored in that one. Takes him to 47 Premier League goals for Newcastle, puts him second on the all-time list, one above Peter Beardsley, and now just 101 behind Alan Shearer. So a way to go before you catch Alan Shearer up.
You'll have to sign a pretty big deal.
Yes. Brun Larsen on the turn. How are Burnley going to respond to this? Odebear into Foster. Assignon's shot straight at Dubravka again. That's been the problem with the shooting for Burnley. They've been straight at Newcastle's keeper.
I mean, they worked the situation brilliantly again here at Newcastle.
Callum Wilson seems to be onside, certainly according to the assistant referee. Gordon found him with the pass. Murphy making the run on the outside. Oh, Gordon looking for the finish at the near post. That'll go behind for a corner. I think Burnley fans thought that Callum Wilson was offside in the initial move.
I thought the timing of his run, the way he bent, it is quite close, I've got to say. I'm with the Burnley fans. I was going the other way at first.
Former Blackburn striker agrees with hundreds of Burnley fans surrounding us in the North Stand here. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. Newcastle pushing for a second successive season of European football. Here is the corner, an away swinger from the right. Dara O'Shea and Alistair both jump. There's a shove in there from a Newcastle player, so it'll be a free kick to Burnley. So we've got Nottingham Forest 1-0 down at Sheffield United, but Burnley 1-0 down at home to Newcastle. And there's been a goal at Motherwell. Gavin Wallace.
There has indeed, Ali, and there was a handball inside the box. Georgie Gent tried to get the ball in, but Michael Nottingham handled it. Theo Bair stepped up for his 14th goal of the season and put it well beyond Shamal George into the bottom left-hand corner. Not good news for Livingston. Motherwell 1, Livingston 0.
Yeah, Livingston relegated today if they lose and Ross County avoid defeat. And I think I just saw that Ross County had got themselves an equaliser in their game against Hibs. So as it stands, with those 2 results, Livingston would be going down today. Livingston 1-0 down away to Motherwell. Another goal at Celtic as well in the Scottish Premiership. Connie McLaughlin.
Celtic 2, Hearts 0. Kyogo Furihashi's 15th goal of the season. This one was a thing of beauty. Picked up the ball midway inside the box. He had a lot of work to do to try and control the ball. Had a lot of height on it, and he managed to bring it down and side foot it past Xander Clark. Celtic 2, Hearts 0.
Midway through the first half at Turf Moor. That's sounding relatively comfortable for Celtic at the moment, Chris, but I don't think you'd be counting your chickens if you were a Celtic fan.
No, absolutely, especially against Hearts this season, who have beaten Celtic on a couple of occasions.
Next Saturday, 12:30, full commentary of Celtic against Rangers in the title race. Rangers play against Kilmarnock tomorrow. They'll meet in the Scottish Cup final as well, which kicks off same day, same time as the English FA Cup final. Loose back pass from Lewis Hall as Dubravka, scampering across his penalty area, keeps the ball in play. Kraft, the Swede, floats it forward with his right foot. Vitinho heads it down. Guimaraes steps in, clears off balance. The ball goes miles up in the air. Livramento gets a couple of touches, but Burnley have the ball back inside their own half. And Callum Wilson, the difference between the 2 teams. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. Latest in the Super League comes from Matt Newsom.
Yeah, Hooker 12, St Helens 6. Wonderful try. Ryan Hall's break, supported by Minchella. Mighty Lewis finishing it off, kicking the goal. St Helens trail by 6 points to 12.
Livramento racing forward to intercept another Muric ball out. Muric immediately gets the ball back. Closed down by Wilson. Plays it up the middle of the pitch. Has given it away to Guimaraes, which is why you heard the groans from the Burnley fans around us. He's rolled it out to Jacob Murphy on the right. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. So as it stands, Newcastle moving above Manchester United in the Premier League table. They'll go to 56 points with a win. Manchester United away to Crystal Palace on Monday. Murphy's ball, looking for the run of Longstaff. He chests it down. He's got Esteve breathing down his neck. Clever back heel, finds Livramento, looking for the cut back. Didn't quite get to Isak, who was lining himself up for the first time strike. Assignon tries to bring it away. Lewis Hall gets in his way, wins the ball, turns, brings it forward for Newcastle. Isak 25 yards out, threads a pass through to Wilson, lays it off to Livramento. Muric makes the save, and Esteve is able to clear for now, because here come Newcastle again. Real pressure on Burnley. Hall on the turn, edge of the box, shot deflected. It's Gordon who hits it, and behind it goes for a Newcastle corner.
Newcastle should be 2 up as Wilson just pokes the ball out to Livramento, right hand side. He's 6 yards out. He telegraphs the shot, and Muric reads it to his right hand side. Comfortable save though. They had an earlier opportunity where Livramento had to pick out Wilson, tried to pick out Isak, and that would have been the easiest of chances, but Newcastle really pushing Burnley back.
5 Live, BBC Sounds, the BBC World Service. Premier League action at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. Gordon's corner, high floated away swinger, looking for Burn, couldn't get a header on it. Here is Hall. Hall's cross in from the left. Muric is a big man, the Burnley keeper, the Kosovan, all in bright pink, makes a clean catch with both hands and just hangs onto the ball for a second. Let's head to Bramall Lane again. Mas Faruqi.
Chance of you're going down with United from the home fans here. Still Sheffield United 1, Forest 0. Karen Archer with a great chance for a second goal for Sheffield United as well. Murillo injuring his keeper, trying to get the challenge in on Archer in the area. Just about did so. But yeah, Sheffield United looking on top at the moment. They still lead by a goal to 0.
Burnley have got bother on their hands again. Gordon, sliding challenge from Assignon. He's been everywhere for Burnley this afternoon. Gordon stayed down, volleyed effort. It was the tackle from Longstaff. The ball spun up for him, and he decided to hit it from 25 yards over the bar. Goal kick for Burnley.
Yeah, Assignon did really well initially to make the challenge from Gordon. And as the ball does pop up, Longstaff high and wide.
Another goal at Bramall Lane, Mas Faruqi.
Commentators curse out of nowhere. Forest have a brilliant equaliser. Callum Hudson-Odoi from distance left no chance for Wes Foderingham to try and get anything on that in the Sheffield United goal. 1-1.
Nearly stuck him in, Hudson-Odoi, as a tip in the fantasy football column this week, Chris. Just thought Forest with their remaining games, and I didn't go for it, and now I'm ruining that. I would have looked.
There's a lot
there.
of that, isn't there? I nearly did.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Here come Burnley down the right with Assignon. He's got Lewis Hall backpedaling. Takes him on the outside into the box, looking for the cutback. Guimaraes blocks it. Josh Cullen sprints across for Burnley. Gordon and Guimaraes for company. Passes back to Dara O'Shea, who calmly plays a ball into the Burnley midfield. Sander Berger, tall man, ball at his feet in the middle of the Newcastle half. Odebear quickly lays it off to Assignon again, who's been a fabulous attacking outlet for Burnley in this game. Odebear involved again, but he's got his back to goal. He's moving away from the Newcastle goal, and he's playing the ball back here to Dara O'Shea. More reaction to all the drama that happened in the 12:30 kickoffs in the Championship coming your way at half-time on 5 Live this afternoon. Ipswich back in the Premier League for the first time in over 20 years after their win over Huddersfield. It's going to be Leeds, Norwich, Southampton, West Brom in the playoffs. Lyle Foster, left-footed shot low, dragged across the face of goal and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, hasn't been too prominent in this first half an hour, but sharp turn on his left foot, a really weak effort. Got to hit the target from the edge of the box.
How's the intensity at Brentford, Henry Moran?
Low, I would say. Brentford 0, Fulham 0. Fulham coming closer. Andreas Pereira, a drive from distance just over Flecken's crossbar, but it does remain. Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Sheffield United 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Here Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. Callum Wilson, the goal scorer, on the move. Tackled by Esteve. Newcastle get the throw, level with the edge of the Burnley box. Attacking on the right-hand side. Callum Wilson now 6 goals in his last 5 appearances against Burnley for Newcastle. It's been a thorn in their side. Here's Guimaraes. Back to Kraft, who goes for the high diagonal. Assignon's got it covered. Cushions a little header back to Muric. 2 minutes short of the half hour at Turf Moor. And Burnley trailing by a goal to 0. As Chris reminded me, just 2 home wins for Burnley in the Premier League this season, which came against, Chris, can you remember? You did tell me before the game.
Yeah, I still should remember. Well, they thrashed Sheffield United,
correct,
didn't they? And then
begins
got over
with
the
a
line
B
against Brentford.
Well done. Very good. The 2 wins for Burnley. They need one this afternoon. Cullen's ball forward, slightly miscued. Dan Burn, who you'd probably say is the only sort of first choice defender at the back there for Newcastle, given the injuries to Cher and Trippier and Botman. Gordon thought he was dragged down there trying to get onto that through ball. Anthony Taylor,
foot race between Gordon and Assignon. Gordon goes down, but no yellow card this time from Anthony Taylor.
No. Callum Wilson booked for diving earlier on. Latest on Hull KR St Helens, Matt Newsom.
Yes, you score, we score here. Hull KR 12, St Helens 10. Johnny Lomax flashing a perfect pass for Wanga Blake to put down in the corner. Mark Percival missed the kick. 2 points in it. Hull KR 12, St Helens 10.
Lewis Hall's header away. Burnley playing back inside their own half. Esteve wanted Muric to come. Muric was backing off. Esteve reacted quickly, plays it back to Muric. Got to be careful with that pass. Precise with it to Odobert. Dan Burn is highest up there for Newcastle pressing. Muric gets Burnley out on the left-hand side. And here's the Brazilian Vitinho. Little step over and a nutmeg as well on Jacob Murphy. Newcastle are going to let him run. Loose pass from Vitinho. Foster's won the ball back off Isak. Here's Cullen. Short little pass to Berger. Man free wide on the left here for Burnley is Brun Larsen. Brun Larsen up against Livramento. Plays it back to Berger. 25 yards out near the corner of the Newcastle penalty area. Brun Larsen just backs away from the Newcastle box. Then Cullen, scoop pass away to his right. Assignon chests it down, flicks the ball away from Lewis Hall. Anthony Gordon moves in to try and help out. Assignon's going to take on Hall. Hall gets a foot in, and that's going to be a corner for Burnley.
I think Assignon's been Burnley's best player. Really positive play on that right-hand side. Newcastle defending with a narrow 4-4-2, allowing Burnley to have the ball in the wide area. He drove past Hall, and Hall, to his credit, he looked beaten but just got a toe and poked it behind for a Burnley corner.
Birmingham and Huddersfield joining Rotherham as relegated teams from the Championship this season, despite the fact that Birmingham were able to beat Norwich on the final day of the regular season. Low ball in from Brun Larsen from the short corner. Had a chance to put a good cross in. It was a poor one. It was blocked, and now Newcastle on the counter. Murphy falls over but gets his pass to Isak. Gordon in space away on the right-hand side. Chance for Newcastle to find the second. Gordon shot. Oh, took a deflection, I think, just wide of the post. Corner for Newcastle.
They are absolutely devastating on the break, Newcastle. And as Isak under pressure actually plays lovely weighted pass to Gordon, who shifts the ball out on his right foot. Tries to go across Muric from 20 yards right-hand side of the box, but there's a deflection. You feel there's more goals than this for Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle enjoying the spaces they're being afforded. They have the lead. Burnley have got to get something from the game, you feel. Nottingham Forest being held at Bramall Lane at the moment. Corner taken short by Gordon to Guimaraes. Guimaraes drops a shoulder, keeps the ball. Looks like he's heading for the byline. Lays it back to Gordon's crossing towards the far post. Headed away, bounces once. Jacob Murphy on the half volley. Loose ball inside the Burnley area. Berger clears first time. Here's Livramento. Out wide to Murphy. Murphy's cross looks good into the near post. Esteve wins the first header. Nodded away by Brun Larsen. Gordon side foots a first time ball to Guimaraes, who gives it back to Gordon. Dummies the cross. Takes on Odobert. Then hits the cross with his left foot. That's blocked by Odobert and goes behind for another Newcastle corner.
Good little spell for Newcastle. Odobert, to his credit, stood up against Gordon when Gordon tries to drive down that left-hand side. Not always coming inside on his favoured right foot. Wins the corner.
Which Anthony Gordon will take again for Newcastle. Deliberately paces back away from the ball. On the artificial turf behind the actual pitch there. Gordon runs to the ball now, curls it in towards the far post. Dan Burn attacks it, heads it over the bar. Goal kick for Burnley. Burnley 0, Newcastle 1. 12 minutes remaining in this first half. Back to Bramall Lane, Maz Faruqi.
Frenetic game this at the moment, Ali. Still 1-1, but a couple of really good chances for Sheffield United. The latest for Brereton Diaz score of the penalty. Bogle's had a chance deflected wide as well. Hamer as well. Really, really good entertaining game for the neutral. 1-1.
So as it stands, Nottingham Forest would be on 27 points. Luton 26. Burnley 24. Sheffield United already down. Everyone else is safe. Next up for these teams, Burnley away to Tottenham, looking to get Assignon in on the right-hand side again. That's intercepted by Lewis Hall, who sees an opportunity to attack for Newcastle. Long diagonal towards Wilson, chests it down, tries to flick it past Esteve, takes him on for pace on the outside. Esteve shoulder to shoulder with him, the two wrestling away there. Murphy's in to help out for Newcastle. Cut back and driven into the bottom corner by Sean Longstaff. Fabulous finish in the right place at the right time. And it's all going wrong for Burnley at Turf Moor this afternoon. Burnley 0, Newcastle 2.
Yeah, it's a wonderful finish from Longstaff, but all the hard work was done by Callum Wilson. Once again, it's sensational centre-forward play. A ball really which he did so well to keep hold of. He was persistent, drove to the byline, pops it back, and Longstaff just strides onto the ball, allowed to hit it first time and just sweeps it into the far corner from 12 yards. Muric dives to his right-hand side, but it's placed so well from Longstaff. Ball popped out. Yeah, it's a really wonderful finish, measured finish. And it's hard to see Burnley finding a way back into this from here.
4 away wins this season for Newcastle, just the 4 ahead of this game against Sheffield United. That was the big one, 8-0. The win at Villa, which ended a long unbeaten run for them in the Premier League at the time. Nottingham Forest and Fulham, the other venues they've won at. 2-0 up here, now away to Burnley. Burnley next up away to Tottenham, as I was saying. Nottingham Forest at home to Chelsea. Luton away at West Ham, but Nottingham Forest in the ideal position at the moment, better position in terms of the better goal difference and the points on the board compared to Burnley. Newcastle fans in good voice at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Newcastle 2.
Yeah, I think Vincent Kompany will be bitterly disappointed about the ease how Longstaff gets in. Cullen, I think he runs off the back of Cullen, uncontested.
Well, nearly gets in again there. Esteve bundles into the back of him. That's got to be a free kick. No dive from Callum Wilson there. Free kick 25 yards out. Yellow card for Maxime Esteve, who is struggling to handle Callum Wilson. First start for Callum Wilson in a couple of months. Off the bench in the last couple of games. Timely return to the first team.
Just imagine when he gets really fit.
Exactly.
It's just...
26 players for Gareth Southgate. I mean, he's a real outside shot, Callum Wilson, now. But Gareth Southgate's here, Chris, and having a look, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, blimey, I mean, he must have caught his eye. Gareth has nodded off, but he's been their outstanding player.
Going to bring you a Super League update in just a second. We're going to see what Newcastle can do with the free kick. The interim Republic of Ireland boss John O'Shea is here along with Gareth Southgate. I saw the brilliant long-distance, middle-distance runner Brendan Foster, Newcastle fan, here today, so he'll be happy. What a runner, Chris.
Oh, blimey, 10,000, was it? 5,000, 10,000?
You might know better than me, actually. He's watching the game with Alistair Campbell, Burnley fan, this afternoon. Free kick taken short. Gordon's going to hit one with his right foot, easily dealt with by Muric. So Hull KR St Helens in the Super League. Matt Newsom.
Yes, and Helens ahead for the first time, 12 points to 14. A try from their Tongan bulldozer, Conrad Hurrell, using sheer power to force his way over. The kick was missed. Hull KR 12, St Helens 14.
Celtic leading Hearts by 2-0 as they look to take a 6-point lead at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Rangers play Kilmarnock tomorrow. And as it stands, Livingston getting relegated, 1-0 down away to Motherwell, and Ross County are 1-1 against Hibs. Here's Muric. Dinks it out to the right beyond Assignon, who tries to keep it in with a header. Lewis Hall picks the ball up immediately, the replacement ball off the little plastic cone, takes the throw in at the feet of Isak. Isak has Longstaff as an option, but passes the ball across him to Livramento wide on the right-hand side. 7 minutes remaining in the first half. This is Murphy bringing it in from the right into the feet of Isak, just tries to tickle it back into his path. Poked away by Brownhill. Newcastle won't let Burnley get out, though. Longstaff plays it to Livramento. Trippier will be another one on his way back. Newcastle will hope before the end of the season. Here's Gordon looking to slide one through the lines. Gordon again, this time on the right-hand side. Early cross, great ball. Was that a push in the middle there? Isak was looking to get on the end of the cross. Anthony Taylor again wags a finger and says no penalty. It was Wilson, actually, who went flying in the box. Isak is making the complaints. We'll wait and see what happens with that one. We're going racing at Newmarket again. The 2,000 guineas, John Hunt.
Huge excitement here, Ali, at Newmarket. The first classic of the season underway, and all eyes on the champion 2-year-old from last year, City of Troy, trained by Aidan O'Brien. He's unbeaten and he's gone straight into an early lead. He's being tracked early by the likes of Hartem and Knight Raider, who's close up with them. Behind them is Ghost Writer, who's another one well up with the pace. Meanwhile, Rizalian, who is a horse of immense potential as well, he's close up. Inisherin's there. Alyanabi, who chased home City of Troy in the Dewhurst last year, he's now starting to make a forward move. City of Troy not able to dominate, and in fact now comes under pressure. City of Troy has become one of the first ones to be ridden along, and there's still 2.5 furlongs left to go. He looks in real trouble here, City of Troy. Breezing past him on the far side is Notable Speech. City of Troy is going to be well beaten. Sensational. Notable Speech, and now coming out of the pack is Rizalian, the second favourite. Hartem chasing them. Inisherin, Alyanabi and Ghost Rider the next ones. Notable Speech chased by Rizalian. Either one of these two for classic glory. Notable Speech driven right out here. Notable Speech is going to beat Rizalian. Notable Speech wins the 2,000 guineas. Rizalian and Hartem were second and third. Those two both trained by Richard Hannon, but in a big turn up here at Newmarket. Notable Speech is the winner, unbeaten 4 out of 4. William Buick's first ever 2,000 guineas. Big drama here, Ali, as City of Troy is well beaten. Drama with you as well.
Yes, Bruno Guimaraes has scored a third goal for Newcastle. Too easy for them. They now lead by 3-0. Anthony Gordon made the run down the left-hand side, cut it back. The finishing's been great from Newcastle. The defending from Burnley this afternoon has been pretty woeful. And the thing that strikes you most of all, Chris Sutton, looking around this ground, hundreds, and that is no exaggeration, in all the stands, hundreds of Burnley fans already pouring out of the ground. They are 3-0 down. They're attacking now. Guimaraes is bringing the ball away for Newcastle, and Newcastle look hungry for more. But as the Burnley players look up, they can see their supporters deserting them.
Yeah, well, the fans who were leaving are probably thinking that the team have given up in the last 10-15 minutes. I've got to say, Vincent Company will be bitterly disappointed about the nature of all the goals, but the last two Newcastle midfield players strolling into the box unmarked, and Bruno picked his spot brilliantly from 14-15 yards left-hand side of the box, just side-footed it past Muric, beat him on his near post. Initially the hard work was done by Dan Burn, winning the ball back high up against Assignon. The ball broke to Gordon, who had all the time in the world to pick out Bruno, who finished with aplomb. And Burnley, they need half-time desperately.
Just got another close-up shot of Brendan Foster and Alistair Campbell there. Alistair Campbell looking extremely glum, and Brendan Foster, I think, just trying to suppress the glee at the moment and do it politely. Vincent Kompany getting stuck into his players right now. He's had a face like thunder. Hull KR St Helens latest, Matt Newsom.
Yeah, it's a points fest, this one. Hull KR 16, St Helens 14. Kalebi Tanganoa put through a huge gap, and Jack Broadbent, only added to the side 5 minutes before kick-off, gets a first try for Rovers. It's Hull KR 16, Saints 14.
So goals here from Callum Wilson, Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes have Newcastle 3-0 up against Burnley. No play at the moment because Maxime Esteve is down, which is another problem for Vincent Kompany, and this result is music to the ears of Nottingham Forest fans and Luton fans. Brentford Fulham, 3 o'clock game in the Premier League this afternoon. Henry Moran.
It's been pretty quiet. Brentford coming forward through Keane Lewis Potter, winning a corner over to my right, still goalless. Fulham probably the better side. Iwobi skipping through the defence and firing a shot straight at Flecken, but it remains Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Closing stages of the first half at Bramall Lane as well. Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, 2 minutes plus stoppage time to go in this first half here, Ali. Still 1-1 between Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest, but news of those second and third goals for Newcastle certainly filtering through into the stands here, particularly the away section, who are looking much more hopeful now. Their side as well, building back into the latter stage of the second half after good chances again for Archer and Hamer for Sheffield United second, but it is still 1-1.
Dundee 0, St Mirren 1, latest in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic still leading Hearts by 2-0 as it stands. Livingston are going down. They're trailing away to Motherwell, and it's Ross County 1, Hibs 1. Chris, you'll be doing 606 this evening, so Burnley fans will be interested to hear from them after this game, because before this game we were talking about what good form they've been in.
No, absolutely. And I've got to say, though, Newcastle are one of those teams, you catch them on the wrong day, and that's what Burnley have done. And you looked at the positivity with the selection, Isak and Wilson up top, 4-4-2. You don't often see teams play with two central strikers. Newcastle have done that, and albeit Burnley had the better of the opening stages, you always felt when Newcastle were countering that they would create one or two opportunities. They got the noses in front. The second goal really seems to have done for Burnley, though, from Longstaff, and Burnley have fallen to pieces. They've got to somehow regroup at half-time. This was a game I think we both felt coming into it they needed to win it.
Esteve is off, and I don't think he's coming back on, because I can see Burnley getting a replacement ready. At the moment, though, Sander Berge is filling in at centre-back for Burnley. They are 3-0 down here against Newcastle. And here comes the change. Hjalmar Ekdal, the Swede, is coming on, who will slot into the centre of defence for Burnley. Good luck with that against Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy, all licking their lips and fancying more goals for Newcastle this afternoon, who, as Chris Sutton was just saying, are on it today. Guimaraes, God, Isak's got so much space there, edge of the box, running at the Burnley defenders, just forced off the ball, cleared by Ekdal, that's his first touch. Lyle Foster, Kraft takes it off him. Here's Longstaff on the turn, that's a lovely pass in behind the Burnley defence, cross in, cut back here, Longstaff miscues. Now that's the first example of poor finishing we've seen today. Here's the ball now, Longstaff pokes it to his left to Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall keeps it for Newcastle. Maybe it wasn't Longstaff with the finish, actually.
I think it was Kraft and Newcastle centre back. You could say, what on earth was he doing there? But he should have put Newcastle 4 up. It was brilliantly worked. Longstaff initially with the ball inside the Burnley fullback, and then the pullback, and Kraft wasn't so crafty there, was he, from 8 yards?
He wasn't, Chris.
Crossed his lines.
And why did I know that was coming? And had it been Longstaff with the finish, I think it might have ended up in the back of the net. Burnley guilty of giving the ball away again. So easy for Newcastle. Guimaraes through to Wilson. Good dumming on the left-footed shot. Curling effort with the right is wide of the far post, and Anthony Gordon gave him a shout. Wilson apologises for not passing, and it goes wide of the post and behind for the goal kick. So Burnley 0, Newcastle 3, and it could be any number, this looks like, at the moment.
I tell you where Newcastle have been really good and exploited Burnley. Burnley get the fullbacks high and wide very, very early, and as soon as the ball's turned over, Wilson is always looking to make that run in the area which is vacated, and they have absolutely destroyed Burnley in this first half.
Well, loads of Burnley fans have already left. Sliding challenge from Josh Cullen, that's exactly what they want to see. Wins the ball. Brownhill plays it forward, intercepted by Gordon. Hungry for action as always for Newcastle. Dances over the ball, turns again, plays back across the halfway line. Added time at the end of the first half at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Newcastle 3. You're listening to it on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. Here's Gordon. Gordon working it onto his right foot, dragged down by Cullen. Newcastle are going to get another pot shot at goal, possibly late in the first half. Free kick in the inside left channel, about 25 yards from goal, and Newcastle are all over Burnley at the moment. You just wonder how this might set Burnley back heading into their last couple of games of the season.
Well, I mean, based on what we've seen in this first half, this could be the defining game for Burnley this season. You talk about the home record, but this was a game, you've said, they came into with plenty of confidence. They were unlucky not to take 3 points away from Old Trafford last week. Started the game okay, but didn't really have a clear-cut opportunity. There's a debate over the penalty, but not given against Assignon.
Yeah, that was early in the game at 0-0. Free kick is going to be struck by Anthony Gordon, it looks like, with the right foot. Drives that into the two-man wall. The ball bounces back. Lewis Hall is there. Hall drills a diagonal looking for Dan Burn. Headed away by Lyle Foster on the edge of the Burnley box. Murphy plays it back to Livramento. Livramento side foots a pass across to Lewis Hall. And shouldn't forget as well, plenty to play for Newcastle here. Win today, they move above Manchester United into 6th spot in the Premier League. looking for European football again next season. Won't be Champions League. Here's Isak, edge of the area. No, the ball just bounced up on him there as he hit it, and he's sliced it high and wide and behind for the goal kick.
I think you're being a little bit kind there, Bruce. The longer this half has gone on, Bruno and Longstaff are just dictating this game. The Newcastle midfielders, central midfielders, pulling the strings. Lovely pass there into Isak, who made all sorts of excuses for. He's had a brilliant season, and that was an awful effort.
Commentary on Manchester City Wolves at 5:30 this evening. John Murray and Chris Waller, your commentary team there. Terrible ball across the Newcastle half, just gifting it to Newcastle again at Burnley. Isak, he's not got a goal yet this afternoon, but the cross comes in from him, low and left-footed, cleared by Ekdal. Another goal in the Scottish Premiership at Motherwell. Gavin Wallace.
Not good news for Livingston. Stan Nicholson from 25 yards, Ali, has let off a rocket. It hit off the underside of the crossbar and in. Jamal George with no chance. Coupled that with Theo Bair's opening goal. Half-time, Motherwell 2, Livingston 0.
Lewis Hall finds Bruno Guimaraes. For once his pass is cut out. Sander Berger bringing it away. Burnley trailing 3-0 at home. Just shows how hard it is going to be for Leicester and Ipswich coming up to the Premier League next season, and whoever comes through the playoffs in the Championship as well. Here come Burnley pouring forward now with Assignon. Assignon chops inside. Guimaraes half attempted tackle there, doesn't take the ball off Assignon. Low pass from him out to Odebear. Odebear's cross deflected. Late corner in the first half for Burnley. We've already had 5 minutes of added time. It's Burnley 0, Newcastle 3.
And they need something desperately here. Burnley, Newcastle in total control. Burnley need to find a goal to try and cling on to something at half-time and give them a tiny bit of hope.
Can they get something from the set piece? Late in the first half, Jakob Brun-Larsen will take the corner for Burnley from the right, attacking that goal away to our right. Brun-Larsen's delivery deep to the far post, powerful header, but underneath it Dara O'Shea balloons it over the crossbar. And there goes the half-time whistle, and that is a miserable first half for Burnley. Coming into the game, just one defeat in their last 8 Premier League games. They have been swept aside in the first half here. Goals from Callum Wilson, Sean Longstaff and Bruno Guimaraes, Chris Sutton. Burnley have just not been at the races.
No. In a game where essentially Burnley needed 3 points, they're 3 down at half-time. They have been pummeled by this Newcastle team, who are capable of doing it to anybody on their day, but it's hard to see Burnley coming back into this one, but they sort of need to.
Good news for Luton and Nottingham Forest as it stands in terms of what's going on at Turf Moor. I would not want to be facing Vincent Kompany at half-time. He is marching off the field here. Half-time, Burnley 0, Newcastle 3.
But Chris, quickly, I mean, 2 of the Newcastle goals have come from very similar situations, out wide, cut back, there you go. They could have had another couple from there if I'm thinking of Kraft's finishing in particular. I mean, Burnley are susceptible to that, and Newcastle are exploiting it.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's interesting is, Vincent Kompany is starting 11. He put an extra midfield in there, a central midfielder in Brownhill, so he's got 3 in there, but the 2 Newcastle midfielders have had all the time in the world to pick the spot. Bruno did it brilliantly, so did Longstaff. I mean, it's just sheer naivety. They actually started the half well, Burnley, but I mean, Newcastle, as I said many times, I mean, they are devastating. They have devastating attackers, and they have just worn Burnley down, and they're going to see this one through. They are in total control.
So Luton drew last night. Burnley are being beaten 3-0 at home. What an opportunity for Nottingham Forest at Sheffield United. Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it, for Forest in the second half? Can they try and take advantage? I think Nuno Espirito Santo will be pretty happy it's half-time as well, because Forest, since the 2 goals on balance, have had the better of the chances to find a second. It is 1-1 at half-time. Forest showing resilience as well to get back level after what was in truth a rash challenge to concede the penalty on Brereton Diaz by Gonzalo Montiel. He was booked. Sheffield United then ahead after Brereton Diaz stepped up to convert the spot kick, but Hudson-Odoi then firing in a glorious strike from distance for the Forest equaliser, and it's the big 45 minutes ahead for them in the second half in this relegation battle. 1-1 at half-time.
Nothing to play for in the game between Brentford and Fulham. I wonder whether that's showing, Henry Moran.
The half-time, Brentford 0, Fulham 0. Two sides assured of Premier League football next season. Not yet offering up a classic. Fulham have probably just edged it. Iwobi and Pereira firing shots from distance, not far off. Brian Mbeumo has had Brentford's best chance. His effort deflected off Calvin Bassey and onto the bar. All a bit gentle here. If this game was a curry, chappers, it'd be a chicken korma. Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Celtic looking to extend their lead at the top of the Scottish Premiership to 6 points. Connie McLaughlin.
What does it say about me that I love a korma, Mark? I think we should just get that out of the way. But anyway, here in Glasgow, Celtic 2, Hearts 0. They're in pole position, the home side, to extend their lead to 6 points at the top of the table. 2 Kyogo goals, 1 a header and the other an assist masterclass from Matt O'Reilly. He launched a ball deep from the left-hand side and Kyogo showed great composure to finish it off past Xander Clark. 3 games left after this one. Rangers play Kilmarnock tomorrow, and guess what? Celtic a week today. At half-time, Celtic 2, Hearts 0.
And we have commentary of that next Saturday lunchtime. Celtic Rangers here on 5 Live. Other game in the top half of the Scottish Premiership, and St Mirren lead Dundee by 1-0 at the break. Into the bottom half, and Livingston are going down this afternoon as things stand. Gavin Wallace.
That's absolutely correct, Mark. Motherwell 2, Livingston 0. The opening goal coming on 21 minutes. There was a handball from Mickey Devlin on this left-hand side. Ball hit in from Georgie Gent. Referee and a VAR check decided, penalty after about 3 or 4 minutes. Theo Bair stepped up for his 14th of the season and slammed it home to the bottom left hand of Shamal George in goal. Then Livingston themselves actually had a goal chopped off from the build-up on just over the half an hour mark. Paul McGinn down this right-hand side, just in front of the main stand, literally fell over a Livingston attacker. Ball went into the back of the net from Scott Pittman. Referee and the linesman decided, nope, that was absolutely not happening. And then on half-time, Sam Nicholson with a 25 rocket off the underside of the crossbar is almost consigning Livingston, as you say, to being demoted after 6 years in the Scottish Premiership. Motherwell 2, Livingston 0.
Elsewhere in the bottom half of the Scottish Premiership, Aberdeen 0, St Johnstone 0, Ross County 1, Hibs 1. Elsewhere in the games that are taking place at the moment, half-time in Scottish League 1. The Championship, by the way, was finished last night. But in League 1, Cove Rangers 2, Edinburgh City 1, Falkirk 1, Alloa 2, Hamilton 2, Kelty Hearts 1, Montrose 0, Queen of the South 2. And the only thing that is left to be settled in Scottish League 1 is who gets the relegation playoff place. It is between Stirling and Annan. They're playing each other this afternoon. It is 1-1. Basically, whoever loses it will be in the relegation playoff. As it is a draw at the moment, Stirling would be in the relegation playoff. In Scottish League 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Forfar 0, East Fife 0, Spartans 0, Elgin 0, Clyde 2, Peterhead 2, Dumbarton 0, and Stranraer 1, Stenhouse Muir 0. Again, in all of this, the only thing that's left to be decided is bottom spot and who goes into the relegation playoff there against the side who finish top in the lower leagues, which is East Kilbride. And that, at the moment, will be Stranraer, even though they're beating Stenhouse Muir, who are already the champions. They will finish bottom and take on East Kilbride in that two-legged playoff to see who'll be in Scottish League 2 next season. Then midway through the second half in the Irish Cup final, that's between Cliftonville and Linfield, and they're level at 1-1. They're approaching the half-hour mark in the National League North playoff final, and that is goalless between Brackley and Boston. The Rugby Union Champions Cup semi-final between Leinster and Northampton gets underway at 5:30. Full commentary of that on Sports Extra. In Super League this afternoon, Lee Castleford is also at 5:30. Currently half-time though between Hull KR and St Helens, and the home side are just shading it. Matt Newsom.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a really seesawing game, one that will give defensive coaches absolute nightmares, but it has provided some terrific entertainment. Twice Hull KR led early doors. Tries from Tyrone May and Mikey Lewis cancelled out by those from Jack Wellsby and Wanga Blake. Saints then took the lead through Conrad Hurrell, a typically forthright fourth forceful score out on that right-hand side, and then Jack Broadbent finished off the first half scoring after a brilliant break from Kalepi Tanganoa touching down in the corner. This one so far, as you say, not a lot in it. Two sides at the top end of Super League with aspirations of winning the grand final at Old Trafford, but at the moment Hull KR shading it. Hull KR 16, Saints 14.
Kyron Wilson leads Dave Gilbert 16-11 in that semi-final at the Crucible. So Wilson needs one more frame for victory. He trails in this frame 49-27, but he is amongst the balls at the moment. Coming up to exactly 4 o'clock, Nick Hatfield has the news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. Labour have won 2 more mayoral votes. Andy Burnham in Greater Manchester and Tracy Brabin in West Yorkshire, both re-elected. Meanwhile, the BBC is pretty confident now that the Labour Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has won a 3rd term in office. There were suggestions earlier the race could be tight between him and the Conservative Susan Hall, but the constituencies declared so far in the capital suggest there has been a swing to Labour in Mr Khan's favour. Here's Joe Twyman, founder of Polster's Delta Poll.
The reality was always that Labour are historically very strong in London compared to the rest of the country, and at the moment nationally Labour have a 20-point lead, and that increases in London, and so it was always going to be an extraordinary struggle for Susan Hall, despite issues around, for instance, Brexit, Gaza, ULEZ, however you want to characterise it. Despite her positions on all of these things, it was always going to be difficult for her to overturn what was a strong Labour level of support in the capital.
So just to bring you that breaking news in the last few minutes, that the BBC is saying that a flurry of results have just come in across the capital, which means that Sadiq Khan's win is official. He is going to be London Mayor for a 3rd term. Well, as I said just before that Andy Burnham, re-elected as Mayor of Greater Manchester, he spoke after the result was announced.
I am ready to fight harder than I have ever fought for anything before, for a Greater Manchester where people can live free from the fear of debt, hunger and eviction, and where everyone is set up to be a part of the growing success story that is our city region today. Greater Manchester will continue to lead the way, and we will do it together. Thank you so much for your support. I look forward to getting on with the job again immediately, and I won't let you down.
Earlier, Labour also won the mayoral votes in South Yorkshire and the Liverpool City region. All eyes now on the West Midlands, where the Conservatives are hoping the current mayor, Andy Street, is re-elected. Sources close to him say it's too close to call. If you want to keep up to date with the results as they come in, we have a live page on the BBC News website and app. Southern Water says more than 30,000 properties in East Sussex are expected to remain without water all weekend because it could take a while to fix a burst mains in a remote area of Woodland. Water stations have been opened for residents in Hastings and St Leonard's. And Hamas negotiators are back in Egypt to discuss the latest proposals for a ceasefire deal in Gaza. US officials have previously described the offer as generous.
I've been up and down the country. Michael Spicer is back in Michael Spicer No Room. And experiencing the best of Britain. No, you're not. Oh. I've not been up and down the country? You're making a very funny sketch show on BBC Sounds for people who enjoyed your Room Next Door sketches. You barely go out. I mean, we're recording this in my kitchen. Why does everyone on the BBC get to go up and down the country and I don't? You could go up and down your stairs.
Michael Spicer, No Room.
I've been up and down my stairs. No, that's stupid.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
And Kyron Wilson is going to be in the final of the 2024 World Snooker Championships. Jamie Broughton.
Blue here, he gestured to the crowd. His family are sat in here. Finlay and Bale and his wife Sophie are here. And in fact, he's just potted the pink and he shook hands with Dave Gilbert. So he's through to the final for the second time. He's wrapped up victory here, 17-11.
Thank you, Jamie. The remaining game between Stuart Bingham and Jack Jones resumes later, with Jones 13-10 up in that semi-final. Let's go back to the Championship. Ipswich back in the Premier League, having achieved back-to-back promotions. Wes Burns got their opening goal this afternoon against Huddersfield.
It's incredible. Honestly, it's incredible. I started out on my football journey when I was just 6 years old. And 23 years later, I've made it to the Premier League. You know, as much as it is amazing to have reached the Premier League and I've achieved what I set out to achieve, I've enjoyed every single step of the journey. The journey is the best part, and you know, it's days like today that you live for.
Scored some big goals in your time. How big was that one in the first half?
To be fair, I think it really set us on our way. We knew today that. You know, if we did our things right and we got the first goal, it would really settle us down, and I was just glad I could provide that. I mean, I should have scored one or two before maybe, so I was delighted that I could be on the score sheet today and send us on our way.
What a team! What a couple of years! What a story!
Yeah, honestly, this team, I can't put it into words really. To be honest, their dedication to their craft, work tirelessly every day. They're meticulous with every detail, and you know what, this group is getting all the rewards that it deserves.
How are the celebrations going to go? This town's been waiting for a party for a long time.
Mate, it's been a sleeping giant for years, an absolute sleeping giant for years, and we've just woken it up, and I can't wait to see what the town's got to offer tonight.
So Ipswich and Leicester go up in the playoffs. It will be Leeds against Norwich and Southampton against West Brom. Birmingham were relegated along with Huddersfield, and Rotherham will have more reaction during Sports Report. Let's go to Miami. Coverage of the sprint race on the BBC Sport website in just over an hour's time with Harry Benjamin, and Max Verstappen is on pole. Harry.
Yeah, I'd say it was heating up in Miami, but it's already boiling. Leclerc and the Ferrari joins Verstappen on that front row. It's a 19-lap sprint to the finish, points to the top 8 finishers. But watch out for Lando Norris. Should have been on pole in an upgraded McLaren, but a mistake in qualifying sees him start down in 9th. Lights out from 5 p.m.
We've got a Rugby Union Challenge Cup semi-final going on at the moment. Currently Gloucester 15, Benetton 11. Commentary is on Sports Extra right now. Earlier, Sharks beat Clermont by a single point. That finished 32-31. So Sharks are in the final to come at 5:30. First of the Champions Cup semi-finals as Leinster take on Northampton. Let's head back to Turf Moor. You wonder really at the moment, the only question is how many for Newcastle given their dominance in the first half. Here are Chris Sutton and Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, can be very interesting to see how Burnley come out in the first 10 minutes of this second half. As I said, Vincent Kompany went stomping across this pitch. He's stomping back across the pitch towards the dugouts right now. We were just hearing the Formula One going on in Miami. I think there's many places that could feel less Miami than Turf Moor right now. Grey skies, drizzle, a lot of empty seats as well. A lot of Burnley fans have already given it up once that third goal went in. They headed for the exits. Burnley 0, Newcastle 3. But the point being, Chris, their last home game, their last game of the season, Burnley, is at home to Nottingham Forest. They've got to try and do their best to try and stay in touch with Nottingham Forest to give themselves a chance in that final game.
Yeah, somehow they've got to drag themselves up and just get the next goal in this game and then go from there. You can't see them coming back into it. Newcastle have had so much control. They look like they could score more goals at will, but they can't keep looking for the next game, Burnley. They're running out.
Ooh, Callum Wilson chasing on to a back pass to Muric from Ekdal. Ekdal on as the substitute for the injured Maxime Esteve. That was another blow for Burnley in the first half. That came off the back of the third goal they conceded. And Burnley in the claret and blue, claret body to the shirts, blue sleeves, the light blue shorts, the claret socks, playing from right to left in the second half. And Newcastle in the vertical, black and white stripes, red numbers on their backs, black shorts and white socks. Manchester City Wolves is our 5:30 commentary on 5 Live and BBC Sounds this evening. So Manchester City looking to respond to the Arsenal win, 3-0 win over Bournemouth at lunchtime. 2 games in hand City have on Arsenal in the title race, now 4 points behind. Burnley attacking early in the second half. Odebear with a little step over, trying to beat Lewis Hall. Hall just stands there, watches him, cross comes in, looking for a flick on at the near post, doesn't reach Lyle Foster. cleared away by Emil Kraft, who's had a very comfortable afternoon in the heart of the Newcastle defence so far.
That partnership, I wondered whether they would have that understanding. Couldn't play together too many times as a centre-half partnership, but they haven't really been tested.
Muric's ball. There's Assignon again, getting forward for Burnley, heading it infield, but only into the arms of Martin Dubravka. Nick Pope back on the bench for Newcastle, one of the bits of team news for this game today, but Dubravka still in goal. Livramento, Kraft, Byrne and Hall is the Newcastle back line today. Longstaff and Guimaraes have been dominating the midfield. Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon revelling on the flanks. Callum Wilson looking very sharp up front alongside Alexander Isak.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gareth Southgate here. Could he throw Nick Pope on for a Eddie Howe for a quick cameo for 20 minutes knowing Gareth's here?
Good run from Odebear, the 19-year-old, bringing it forward for Burnley. Foster takes it off him, turns, looks for the little 1-2 on the edge of the box. Whole load of black and white shirts in front of him. Foster trying to bundle his way through. Still going, shoots over the bar. Tight angle, close range, couldn't keep it down.
Well, Anthony Taylor didn't blow for a foul. I thought there was a clear foul on Livramento from Foster. He's actually really persistent. A couple of give and goes, and Livramento actually reads the flight of the ball well, gets his body in. Foster, I think, bundles him over, but Anthony Taylor lets the play go, and Foster from 6 yards, left-footed, goes high and over the bar. He should bury that, and Burnley should have a goal back.
Burnley 0, Newcastle 3, Sheffield United 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Brentford 0, Fulham 0. Latest scorelines in the Premier League. Dubravka in the lime green clears away, headed forward by the Brazilian Vitinho, hoisted up in the air by Cullen, chased by a whole clutch of Burnley attackers. Newcastle clear, throw in for Burnley on the left. Trying to show a bit of fight at the start of the second half. Next up for them next weekend, they go away to Tottenham before finishing their season at home to Nottingham Forest. But if Nottingham Forest get the draw today at Bramall Lane at the very least, they'll be on 27 points. Burnley will be on 24, and Nottingham Forest goal difference is superior.
And then the possibility of Forest getting a point back.
There we go, Chris. Yeah, that's yet to be decided as well. Yet to hear on the appeal. Lewis Hall bringing it forward for Newcastle. Finds Wilson, gets slightly lucky with a loose touch, but here's Gordon tacking into the penalty area, lays it off here into the path of Wilson, still going, left-footed shot, across the face of goal, deflected at the near post, over the Burnley bar and behind for a Newcastle goal kick. Every time they come forward, they look like they're going to score.
They do, and Assignon had bombed forward, left that space. Gordon drives on the left-hand side and finds Wilson, who gets eventually his shot is blocked, but no, they look like they're going to score at will, Newcastle.
Rain getting heavier at Turf Moor. Mood of the Burnley fans darkening, trailing 3-0. Gordon's corner, headed away by Dara O'Shea. I'll give you the full Burnley lineup again in a second. Here's Jacob Murphy, midway inside the Burnley half on the right. Burnley hold him at bay for now. Guimaraes, scorer of the third goal. Out wide to Murphy again, looking for the give and go with Longstaff. Ball just spins out of play. There's a Burnley touch on it. Challenge on Longstaff, send it out for a throw-in. They've taken that quickly. Livramento plays it to Guimaraes. Guimaraes curling ball in towards the far post. It's behind Isak. Anthony Gordon goes hurtling forward down the left, keeps it in plays up against Brownhill. Brownhill backs off. Gordon so quick, down he goes, and the referee says penalty. Josh Brownhill just couldn't handle the pace of Anthony Gordon there, who went streaking past him down the byline. Brownhill's booked. Gordon back on his feet, gets the high fives from his teammates, and I think Alexander Isak, well, let's see who gets the penalty. I was about to say Alexander Isak should have a chance to score his first goal of the afternoon.
Oh, it's brilliant, it is, from Anthony Gordon. Sees the space, Brownhill shows him the space on the byline. There's a little tug of the jersey, and I think Gordon goes down slightly easily. There is contact though, and the fact of the matter, we said with the early one, which wasn't given the fact that the referee has awarded the penalty, I can't see this being overturned, and a chance for Newcastle to get right out of sight.
So Callum Wilson had the ball. It's been handed over to Alexander Isak. Wilson has a goal today, Isak doesn't. Isak's next goal is his 20th in the Premier League this season. And a Newcastle striker hasn't done that in the Premier League for 20 years. Alan Shearer, the last to do it. And there's only 4 players who have done it. Shearer's done it a few times. Andy Cole did it. Sir Les Ferdinand and Peter Beardsley. So Alexander Isak looking to join that club. Normally takes a very cool penalty. Is Burnley's afternoon about to get that little bit worse? Isak steps to the ball. Terrible penalty. Muric saves it. Low to his right. Isak then goes down as he went for the rebound. That's not going to be given as a penalty. And there's a bit of joy on a gloomy afternoon for Burnley, and a goal at Bramall Lane as well, Mas Faruqi.
And the away section have gone absolutely bonkers here, Ali. Ryan Yates firing into the back of the Sheffield United net. Initially it came from a free kick taken by Morgan Gibbs-White. Sheffield United couldn't get their area clear, and it's lashed in by the captain. Sheffield United 1, Forest 2.
So Forest win today would take them to 29 points. Burnley currently on 24. 5 points behind them it would be with 2 games to play. Whether that's going to spark a comeback or not, Alexander Isak is going to be extremely annoyed with himself. Just have a little look at the penalty again, Chris.
It's a really weak penalty. Isak looks at Muric, he goes across him, doesn't go right in the corner. Muric saves. I think they're checking for another possible penalty.
Yeah.
And Isak gets his body in against Assignon and goes down when he's trying to get the rebound. Well, they must be checking for something. I suspect that's what it's for, but
yeah,
maybe, I mean, Burnley are praying another one isn't given, but maybe it's a moment like that which could just...
Possible encroachment. Now that's just come out over the tannoy. Possible encroachment, which means Alexander Isak may get to go again with the penalty. We've not got footage of that at the moment. Chris, you might be able to see it now, whether there's a Burnley player in the box as Isak strikes. Marginal, isn't it?
Well, come on.
Come on?
Come on, let's get on with it. What's going... I mean, I'd need to have another look. I mean, there's a lot of players in and around the box, but there wasn't an obvious...
No, I mean, if that one goes against Burnley, then I think Vincent Kompany may properly lose the plot this afternoon. His team's not played well. They're deservedly 3-0 behind. I think we are going to get the game back underway with a free kick to Burnley in the right-back position.
What a load of fuss about nothing. Dear me, how long did that take?
Chris Sutton with us at Turf Moor. BBC Radio 5 Live, the BBC World Service. Sports report on the way on 5 Live at 5 o'clock this evening. Then we're into commentary of Manchester City Wolves at 5:30. I know Chris Sutton is looking forward to hearing from the Ipswich fans this evening on 6:06. Chris and Robbie taking the calls as always after the Manchester City Wolves game is over. Callum Wilson, Jacob Murphy picks up the running for Newcastle. Loads of space in the box, looking for Wilson. Isak, open goal, sticks it into the back of the net, makes up for the missed penalty. Where on earth were the Burnley defenders? Where have they been all afternoon? Burnley falling apart in the rain at Turf Moor. More Burnley fans getting up and leaving the stadium. They've seen enough. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4.
Well, that's embarrassing from Burnley. The Burnley fullbacks have vacated their defensive areas all afternoon, and Newcastle have exploited them ruthlessly. Down the right-hand side, Murphy gets his head up, pulls the ball across. He's trying to find Callum Wilson, who can't get on the end of it. Goes to Isak, who's just missed a penalty at the far post. He takes a touch and hammers it into the roof of the net. Devastating from Newcastle. And all the Burnley fans are leaving. They know their team has the look of a team which is doomed.
That is the 20 Premier League goals now for Alexander Isak, which is no mean feat. The race for the Golden Boot this season is fantastic, actually. Cole Palmer's up there, Ollie Watkins is up there, Alexander Isak is up there. Scoring 20 goals in the Premier League, Chris, not easy. It's speaking to someone who's done it before in the season.
Yeah, back in the day. Long time ago now, when defenders used to defend properly, when the fullbacks used to stay in their positions, not vacate forward, Bruce, and leave big areas. I'd have had 50.
You might have done, Chris. You might have done. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4. And as Chris was saying to me at half-time off air, actually, Newcastle will have Tottenham in their sights as well. Win takes them to 56 points, Tottenham on 60. They've not been in great form. They feature in our second commentary of the afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, 5 Live's Premier League Sunday at Anfield. Liverpool against Tottenham at 4:30. We've got Brighton against Villa at 2 o'clock. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4 here at Turf Moor. What's happening in the Super League, Matt Newsom?
Yeah, Hull KR 28, St Helens 14. The Rovers with 2 quick-fire tries. Petr Hiku finishing off a great break, and then another fine finish by Jez Litton in the corner. All going the Robins' way. Hull KR 28, St Helens 14.
Assignon for Burnley, lays it off to the right to Odeberg. Low cross into the box, intercepted by Guimaraes, and Lewis Hall clears with his wrong foot, his right foot, good distance on it. Callum Wilson thought he was fouled. Referee Anthony Taylor doesn't agree. Sander Berger, with the outside of his right foot, finds Odeberg. Assignon moving forward again, and then a miscontrol on the edge of the box, and the ball dribbles away from him and goes behind for a goal kick. Right, someone might be getting a yellow card here on the coaching staff. Who's it going to be? It's coming towards, referee Anthony Taylor's coming towards the Newcastle dugout. He's going past Eddie Howe. Couldn't be Jason Tindall, could it?
I think it was someone who was sitting on the bench. Jason Tindall, I think, stood up to block Anthony Taylor. But no, yellow card awarded for somebody on the Newcastle bench.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on the Premier League app, Chris, that has all the information for that kind of thing. By the way, the decision on no penalty given, I'll come back to that in a second, because here's Murphy looking for Isak again, and the header is behind for a corner from O'Shea, and it very nearly crept in for an own goal.
And there they go, right-hand side. Murphy's had an excellent game, really has done. Great pace from Murphy, and he has a look at the early run from Isak, tries to stand the ball up. O'Shea, to his credit, gets back and heads the ball behind his own goal. Corner to Newcastle.
Jason Tindall did get the yellow card.
Oh, he did?
He did get the yellow card, yeah.
Probably enjoyed it.
No. Not many Burnley fans left in that stand away to our right. Corner comes in. Dan Burn was there trying to get a header on it. Odeberg flicks a header up in the air. Burn nods it back forwards. Burn stretches out a leg. The ball is outside the Burnley box now, given away by Newcastle, but intercepted here by Murphy. Nice touch. Brun Larsen tried to drag him back. Murphy's pass is cut out this time. Here's Vitinho. Play is very broken up now. Up to the halfway line he goes, chased by Hall and Guimaraes, and Guimaraes roars with joy as he makes the tackle and knocks the ball out for a throw-in to Burnley. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4. And the worst news for Burnley comes from Bramall Lane, Mas Faruqi.
Yeah, Gustavo Hamer there with a great chance for a Sheffield United equaliser. He just shaved the outside of the left post with a shot from the right after a run forward into the Forest area. It feels, Ali, like there are more goals in this match, but at the moment it is going Forest's way, as you rightly say. Sheffield United 1, Forest 2.
Half a chance for Burnley. Shot from Josh Cullen, brilliantly blocked by Guimaraes, throwing himself in there again. Newcastle might be able to bring it away on the break. Lewis Hall looking for the pace of Anthony Gordon. Assignon just sticks with him, gets to that ball first, lays it off to Ekdal. Ekdal very cool under pressure from Gordon, just beats him and then comes trotting forward to the halfway line. Dundee 0, St Mirren 2, latest in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic still leading Hearts by 2-0, which will take them 6 points clear ahead of Rangers' game against Kilmarnock tomorrow, which will be the game in hand. And we've got full commentary next Saturday lunchtime of Celtic against Rangers, and Livingston 2-0 down at Motherwell. Ross County 1, Hibs 1. That means Livingston will be relegated today if those two results stay the same. Berger dribbling edge of the box, tackle from Longstaff, and the ball comes through to Martin Dubravka.
What about Bruno celebrating tackling the Burnley player? I'm not
tackling trophy. Do you think, Chris, like the second place trophy?
Are we being old miseries sort of?
I don't mind that.
Come on,
that's an important challenge.
You don't celebrate like that in Raw, do you? 4-0 up, tackling a Burnley player. Come on.
Shows the desire, the commitment, Chris. How much it means to Bruno Guimaraes. He's had another great season for Newcastle. They're finishing this season strongly.
He's had a great game.
He's had a great game.
That, I mean,
just don't celebrate it.
Well, don't celebrate the tackle, dear me. Whatever will they be celebrating next?
Dubravka, low pass out to Murphy, turns it round the corner to Livramento, back to Murphy again. Murphy looking for the run of Wilson, who won't get to that. Muric out of his penalty area, the Burnley keeper.
So good competition for places, Newcastle, haven't they? I thought Harvey Barnes might start today, but Murphy's played very well.
Assignon's ball out to the right, intercepted, goes out for a Burnley throw. Brentford-Fulham latest, Henry Moran.
Still Brentford 0, Fulham 0. Fulham have just had a chance though. Timothy Castagne free from a corner, should do better with the header, not far wide, not far from an opener. Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Ball played back here into the Burnley half. Newcastle fans, you can hear, making a right racket.
Most of the Burnley fans have gone.
They have, Chris. Lyle Foster, loose first touch, manages to get to the ball first though. Oh dear, oh dear. Pass is way behind Coutinho and knocked out of play for a throw into Newcastle. So Jakob Brun-Larsen's going to come off and Johan Gudmundsson is going to come on for Burnley. 16 minutes gone in the second half, but they're getting walloped. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4.
Yeah, and just to change, like for like, Gudmundsson will come out to this left-hand side. That's right. I mean, it's impossible coming on in a situation like this. Tell you what is refreshing, Bruce, this afternoon, mentioned it earlier, Newcastle 2 up top, still a place for 2 strikers.
Yeah. Good to see. Back to Bramall Lane, Maz Faruqi.
Another good Sheffield United chance. Archer shooting straight at Sells in the Forest goal, and then Hudson-Odoi firing just wide of the right post, straight down the other end. This game is so open at the moment, still 1-1.
Nottingham Forest win takes them to 29 points. Luton 26, Burnley currently on 24. Guimaraes tries to put one into the area for Wilson to run onto, but he was pushed in the back as he played the pass. No free kick given, and Muric has the ball in his hands for Burnley. We've got to go to Tottenham next weekend, who've not been in the best form themselves recently, but that's some arse for Burnley. As Muric curls the pass out, Brownhill beaten to it. Here's Longstaff, 25 yards from goal in the inside right channel, looking for the run forward of Kraft. Brownhill wins it. Clearance downfield. Foster is able to turn away from Byrne. Lyle Foster still going. Livramento can't stick with him. Foster looking for the cut back into the penalty area to Gudmundsson. Good defending by Lewis Hall. Got there just in time for Newcastle.
Yeah, it's a brilliant driving run from Foster. It looked like Livramento would catch him up, but he kept going. And then the little poke back to Gudmundsson, and Kraft, was it Hall who just made the interception, and it looked like he was going to slip.
All the reaction to today's football, scores, news, etc. Football Daily podcast available for you on the BBC Sounds app. Leon Osman's the guest on the Fantasy 606 podcast next week. Chris, that comes out every Thursday as we head towards the end of the season. Thrilling title race in our little mini league there as well.
Not for everyone.
Livramento with his right foot, looking for the run of Wilson, who's got Ekdal all over the back of the net. Looking, trying to get a piggyback off Callum Wilson, free kick given.
How good has Callum Wilson been? He has schooled Ekdal then. Ekdal gets too tight to him, he feels him, he rolls him, gets his body in, and Ekdal makes the foul. He's a difficult player, slippery customer to play against, Callum Wilson, because he uses his body so well, but has that pace where he can run in behind. Brilliant all-rounder. You saw with his first goal, his goal-scoring instinct, and the effort went in from Isak. He was expecting Muric to palm the ball away, and there for an easy tap-in.
Aberdeen 1, St Johnstone 0 in the Scottish Premiership. The other pod to point you towards that I was listening to last week. New on the BBC Sounds app. You can watch it on YouTube as well. The Tooney and Russo show. Ella Toon and Alessia Russo together for that one. Big match prep is the subject of the next pod, which will be out, I believe, on Monday. Odebear, a couple of step-overs, cross into the far post, overhit, and behind it goes for the goal kick. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4.
Last podcast, was Mark Chapman on that one as well, or?
I don't think he is on that one, actually, Chris. No.
It's on a few, isn't it?
Yeah, good ones. Good ones. 25 minutes to play, second half, at a very gloomy Turf Moor. Newcastle getting ready to make a couple of changes here, it looks like, as we peer across the pitch to the far side in the gloom. Newcastle fans just haven't stopped singing throughout this second half. Guimaraes muscled off the ball. Burnley have it on the halfway line. Oh, goal at Bramall Lane, Masfaruqi.
A third for Nottingham Forest, a second of the afternoon for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Another really good ball just curled into the back of the Sheffield United net. He went close a few minutes ago. He's found the back of the net this time. Sheffield United 1, Nottingham Forest 3.
Could be a massive result for Nottingham Forest, that, coupled with this heavy defeat for Burnley here. Luton's draw against Everton last night. And another goal at Motherwell, Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, and it's a third for the visitors, Ali. Theo Bair with his second of the afternoon, ball played in towards the back post. It was all a bit kind of higgledy-piggledy at the back post. Theo Bair managed to get his head on it, and it's Motherwell 3, Livingston 0. As it stands, Livingston will still, despite the results, go down this afternoon, Ali. Yeah, Ross County 1, Hibs 1. Another result, changes coming for Newcastle, but still we play. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4. Lyle Foster was looking to creep through a little gap on the edge of the Newcastle penalty area when we were listening to Gavin there, and that was shut down very quickly by the Newcastle defenders. Here's Berger, low curling pass over to Assignon on the right. Burnley started so brightly in the game. 0-0 had the penalty shout for the challenge on Assignon. Goodmanson is tackled. Vitinho gets the ball just outside the Newcastle box, looking for options, stops for a second, passes through the legs of Cullen. Berger can't quite control it. Newcastle coming on the break now. Alexander Isak streaking forward if Anthony Gordon can find him. Gordon plays the ball wide to Isak. Murphy is lurking at the far post. Burnley defenders are trying to get back. Gordon on the outside. Isak plays it back to the edge of the box, just behind Longstaff. He's able to lay it off to Wilson. Wilson to his right finds Murphy. Newcastle looking for the fifth. Livramento gives him a shout. Back they come to the edge of the area again. Curling effort. Guimaraes. Diving save by Muric. Tips it behind for the corner.
Oh, what a save this is. What an effort. Once again, Newcastle devastating on the counter-attack, and then there's a bit of patience. Pop the ball around the edge of the box, out to Murphy, who sees Bruno Guimaraes, takes a quick touch on the right-hand side of the box and tries to whip it into that far top corner. Blimey, that was creeping in, but Muric leapt to his right-hand side and fingertipped around the post.
So changes for Newcastle before the corner. Callum Wilson and Jacob Murphy are coming off. They'll be replaced by Elliot Anderson and Harvey Barnes. While we wait for the changes to happen, let's check in on Hull KR St Helens. Matt Newsom.
Yeah, Hull KR 28, St Helens 20. Really timely try if they're going to get back into this, Saints. Conrad Hurrell again using his force and power over on the right-hand side. The kick was good. It's a 2-score lead. Hull KR 28, St Helens 20.
Sounds like a good game. Didn't see this scoreline coming necessarily today, given Burnley's recent good form and Newcastle's poor away form this season. Newcastle utterly dominant. Taking the corner, Anthony Gordon in front of those Newcastle fans. In-swinging delivery, Muric comes, spills it, ball loose inside the box and cleared away towards the halfway line. And still over 20 minutes to play. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4. Here's Longstaff's ball, looking for the run of Isak through the middle. Ekdal heads it into Assignon. The ball drops to Berger. Berger runs forward for Burnley, and Odebear miscontrols. It goes out for a Newcastle throw. Next instalment in the title race, full commentary on Manchester City Wolves at 5:30. John Murray's got the team news.
And the combined 56 goals this season of Haaland and Foden returned to the City starting lineup. Kovacic as well. Goalkeeper Ederson is fit to play. So 3 changes for the champions, with Grealish, Doku and Alvarez all substitutes today. For Wolves, Ait-Nouri is fit, so 1 change. Hugo Bueno in for Doherty as City look to close back to within 1 point of the leaders again.
Burnley 0, Newcastle 4 here. Chris Waddle alongside John Murray for commentary this evening. Chris Sutton taking the calls on 6:06 after that with Robbie Savage. Burnley have given the ball away. Livramento's looking up, looking for options in the middle. Cut back to the edge of the box. 1 touch from Longstaff, drags it onto the left foot and looking to find a teammate, and Cullen nips in and intercepts that for Burnley. Plays it back to Muric, and Muric just hammers it downfield, and suddenly it's Lyle Foster against Dan Burn. Dan Burn's got it covered, stumbling backwards though, can only knock the ball out of play for a throw into Burnley.
Newcastle guilty of trying to walk it in there. They created an opening, and Burnley quickly counter.
Here's Berger, central position, 25 yards out. Shoot, they scream. Here's Berger, still going, hits it hard just wide. Good hit, might have just clipped the outside of the post, but Burnley cannot find a way through. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4.
Yeah, it's a good driving run, weaving inside and then out. As Bruno Guimaraes opens up a little bit and he powers a right-footed shot, puts his laces through it. And Dubravka was beaten. And so was the far post.
Sports report on the way in just under half an hour's time. Going to be a huge day for Nottingham Forest in the relegation battle. It looks like they're 3-1 up away to Sheffield United. It's Brentford 0, Fulham 0, and Burnley getting thumped here by Newcastle. All the reaction as well to Ipswich's promotion to the Premier League, along with the champions Leicester. Birmingham relegated along with Huddersfield and Rotherham, even though Birmingham, Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn all won their games in that relegation battle earlier on today. Foster couldn't find Odebear with the pass to the left. Ball brought out from deep by Harvey Barnes, who flicks out it's Elliot Anderson, I beg your pardon, flicked out a left arm, and he's caught Vitinho in the face accidentally, and he's going to get booked for it and Burnley get the free kick.
I've got to say, my initial reaction is this is so harsh. Vitinho and Anderson running alongside each other. When you're trying to run fast, you're using your arms, you're pumping your arms. Vitinho tries to get back and Anderson catches him accidentally. That's harsh, Bruce, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think that's a terrible decision.
Was that like you running your half marathon the other day, arms pumping?
Well, it wasn't quite a half marathon in the end.
Oh, was it not? You didn't quite get there?
No, which is slightly disappointing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Here's Muric, Burnley's keeper, just short of the centre circle. I think there's too much on that, and it comes all the way through to Martin Dubravka. 5 Lives Premier League Sunday tomorrow. Brighton Villa. Villa, of course, 7 points clear of Tottenham. Tottenham have the game in hand, and we've got Liverpool-Tottenham commentary at 4:30 in terms of the race for the fourth place.
Is Jurgen Klopp happy about that kick-off time, 4:30?
Not sure. I think that one's all right, isn't it, Chris? You're becoming ever more mischievous as this commentary continues. Another goal at Motherwell, Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, it's not looking good at all, Ali, for Livingston, who as it stands are relegated. It's Motherwell 4, Livingston 0. Dan Casey with the easiest of headers you'll see all season in towards the back post from a corner. Motherwell 4, Livy 0.
Dundee 0, St Mirren 3, latest in the Scottish Premiership, and Celtic still leading Hearts by 2-0. I think it's a 1 o'clock kick-off tomorrow, the Rangers game against Kilmarnock. Newcastle getting ready to make another couple of changes here. Throw in for Newcastle just inside the Burnley half. Anthony Gordon makes himself available. Little 1-2 with Bruno Guimaraes. Brentford Fulham latest, Henry Moran.
Biggest chance of the game. Chance missed though. Brentford 0, Fulham 0. Substitute Raul Jimenez for Fulham, looking for his first goal of 2024. Back post should do far better, but Blaze is over. Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Leinster Northampton commentary on Sports Extra kicks off at 5:30. European Champions Cup semi-final this afternoon here on 5 Live. John Murray and Chris Waddle will bring you full commentary of Manchester City Wolves. Brownhill wins a 50-50 for Burnley, plays it through to Foster, it hits his heels, he tries to run away from Dan Burn.
Unlucky, Foster had made the run but wasn't actually looking at the ball. Burn was, maybe he would have been beaten for pace, I suspect, but Dan Burn's been pretty solid once again. A consistent performer for Newcastle.
Yeah, much changed Newcastle defence. Fabian Schär joining the injured list. No Botman. Trippier on his way back. No Lascelles. Emil Kraft in at centre-back alongside Burn. Alexander Isak jumps out of a challenge, plays it to Harvey Barnes, looking for the run of Gordon, but the ball breaks to Isak. Isak goes streaking past O'Shea. O'Shea just about holds on to him, forces him away from goal. Newcastle still building. Longstaff can't get the ball out to the right to Anderson, cleared by Vitinho. Up towards Lyle Foster, looking for a teammate here. There is one away to his right. Feels he was fouled, doesn't get the decision. Guimaraes plays it to Anthony Gordon, who's able to turn, and Harvey Barnes is on his left, and Gordon tries to play one for the run of Isak, but Isak can't get there.
Anthony Gordon playing more as a number 10 now, just playing in and off and around Isak. Maybe should have mentioned when they came on, Ashley Barnes has gone out to that left-hand side, and Anderson out to the right for Newcastle.
Goals going in Motherwell. Gavin Wallace.
This time, Ali, is for Livingston. Motherwell 4, Livingston 1. Joel Newbley heading in at the back post from a corner. It could be all for nothing because still as it stands, they're 10 points behind Ross County and will be relegated from the league today. Motherwell 4, Livingston 1.
Nottingham Forest 3-1 up at Sheffield United. Burnley 4-0 down against Newcastle here. But Berger on the charge forward. Assignon on his right, cross beyond Dubravka, watches it go and behind for the goal kick. Just trying to do a bit of maths there, Chris, in terms of what this means for the relegation battle. Burnley 24 points. If Forest win, they're on 29. Burnley have got to beat. They need 5 points then, haven't they? If they're going to catch 5 points from the last 2 games, got to win the last 2.
Yeah, I mean, I can sum that up pretty well. Burnley have had it.
Hull KR against St Helens latest, Matt Newton.
Yeah, these are heady days for Hull KR. 3 scores in front now, 34-20. They lead St Helens. The impish Mikey Lewis popping the ball up to Dean Hadley under the sticks. Kick was good. They are flying. Hull KR 34, St Helens 20.
It's going to be a popular Joelinton return for Newcastle here. He's coming on for Sean Longstaff. Miguel Almiron returning from injury as well. Listen to that from the Newcastle fans. He's missed 17 games as the big Brazilian. Thigh injury which required surgery. Quite often as Newcastle were struggling while he was out, people were talking about his importance to the team. Always gives everything for Newcastle, and Newcastle fans, as you could hear, they're absolutely delighted to see him back. Alexander Isak made way for Miguel Almiron. And Burnley have won a throw, attacking position on the left. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4 into the last 15 minutes.
Almiron playing as a central striker now. Isak gone off. And wrapping his centre forwards in cotton wool.
Yeah.
What an impact the pair of those have had this afternoon.
I tell you who does keep playing though, Gordon. Gordon very rarely gets a rest, does he, Chris?
He's young.
He is young, that's true. High curling ball out to the left for Odebear. Livramento wins the header, nods it down. Kraft just covers the ball back to his goalkeeper Dubravka, who comes sliding out and grabs it.
It's really hard to make a case, isn't it, for Burnley after they've worked so hard to actually get themselves into this position. Vincent Kompany's programme notes 3 games to go, he says, and we're all still here. Maybe not after today.
Elliot Anderson chasing a ball here as Newcastle come looking for a fifth. Harvey Barnes in the middle. Muric did well. He read the cross so early there off his line. He was almost standing on the penalty spot to gather the cross. Could have been caught out, I guess, if Anderson had gone for goal.
Could have been. It's really clever goalkeeping. He took a bit of a punt, but Anderson has got his head up and looking for the run of Barnes.
Dundee 1, St Mirren 3, Motherwell 4, Livingston 1, as we've been hearing from Gavin Wallace. Livingston losing and Ross County drawing against Hibs, meaning that Livingston going down today. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4. Odebear takes it off Livramento. Sprinting into the penalty area, drives the shot high, wide at the near post and behind for a goal kick. And the other thing Nottingham Forest know, actually, is if they take a point from their last 2 games, if they win today, they're on 30. Burnley could only get to 30 with 2 wins, and Forest goal difference is so much better. Yeah.
Not even the Pendle Witches can save Burnley.
Very good, Chris. 12 minutes left in this second half. Sports report on the way. Great day for Nottingham Forest fans. Maz Faruqi has been watching them at Bramall Lane.
12 minutes plus stoppage time to go here. Still Sheffield United 1, Forest 3 as they take another corner. Chris Wood, though, forcing a decent save from Foderingham in the Sheffield United goal just now from a set piece. Morgan Gibbs-White, who's been another outstanding player for Nuno Espirito Santos today. 1-3, 11 minutes plus stoppage time to go.
Emil Kraft plays the ball towards Joelinton. Almiron steps in to help out. Passed across to Dan Burn. He lets it run across his body inside the penalty area. To Lewis Hall at left back. Down the touchline to Barnes. He lets that go to Joelinton. Smooth flowing football from Newcastle here. Anthony Gordon then gets onto the ball inside his own half. Sees Elliot Anderson free on the right. Crosses the halfway line and starts to bring it forward. Tired Burnley defenders backpedaling. Anthony Gordon fancies a drive from range and skidding low shot well wide of the target. Goal kick for Burnley. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4.
Yeah, he has been excellent once again, though, Anthony Gordon. And it's, I think, the faith Eddie Howe, first of all, when he signed him, had in him, when I think others certainly would have thought that he could be a difficult customer, as he was at times at Everton, but Eddie Howe saw something in him, and he is getting the very, very best out of Anthony Gordon. With Gareth Southgate here this afternoon, once again Anthony Gordon has made a big impression.
Muric, Burnley's keeper, just waiting and delaying, and eventually a low one straight down the middle of the pitch, which is easily intercepted. Joelinton receives the pass, looking for Barnes on the left. Assignon comes back to make the challenge. Here's Berger, chased by Joelinton, gets a foot in, the ball comes spinning back to Muric, who's given time here inside his penalty area to bring it forward, and then tries to clip one up towards the halfway line. Foster does well in the air against Byrne, flicks it on, but Newcastle have it again with Barnes on the left, looking for Almiron to Hall. Newcastle fans enjoying themselves, Newcastle players knocking it around as well and having fun. Almiron's left-footed pass back into his own half to Emil Krafth. So next for Newcastle next weekend is a home game against Brighton, and then it's away to Manchester United. So in terms of the sort of European qualification places, 5th, 6th, 7th, etc., that is a big game, Wednesday the 15th of May, final day of the season for them, away at Brentford. Hall side foots a pass to Krafth, right on the edge of his own box in a central position. Out to Livramento, brilliant from Gordon, let it go through his legs, tried to run away from Ekdal, felt he was held back by Ekdal, stopped playing, Burnley still have the ball.
Let it run away a little bit too far, didn't he?
Berger, back to Ekdal, here's Vitinho. Feel like we're playing out time a little bit here at Turf Moor. The game is gone for Burnley, it depends what Newcastle want to do. I'm sure if they get the opportunity they will counter-attack quickly. Ekdal chased by Gordon across the halfway line, plays it out to the right hand side. Nottingham Forest 3-1 up at Sheffield United, and Burnley 4-0 down here. Burnley are going to have to win their last 2 games to give themselves a chance, just a chance of staying up, not in their hands. Here's Audebert dancing in from the left hand side, laid back to Berger, couple of touches from him, curling past to Assignon, just gets away from him, but he goes scampering away to the right to keep it in play. Back to Cullen across to Berger. Joe Linton dives in, wins it, but actually Burnley get it back.
It's all side to side though with Burnley. I cannot, probably tell me I'm wrong, but I cannot think of a save of any note which Dubravka's had to make.
Couple of shots in the first half, Chris, hit well, but straight at him.
Straight at him, absolutely. So we talk about Newcastle in an attacking sense, and how devastating they have been.
Newcastle looking for cheap free kicks there. Guimaraes felt he was dragged back, didn't get it. Then he went back and tackled Brownhill. Brownhill's taking it off him again. 2 in and throwing. Newcastle leading 4-0. 7 minutes plus added time to go. Gudmundsson lays it off to Assignon. Assignon, edge of the Newcastle area. Gudmundsson's cross into the far post. Foster's headers pour down into the ground. Such an easy save for Dubravka.
Cannot miss that. He's 4 yards out. Got to say, the ball absolutely wonderful, on the money. 4 yards out, level with the back post. I think he may take his eye off it. That's the only excuse. I think Krafth was in front of him, but I don't think he got a touch on it. Foster had to score. Sums up Burnley's afternoon.
Nottingham Forest making their way with the win to 29 points. Should remember Luton in all this as well. Drew last night against Everton. They're on 26 with 2 games to play. Their last 2 games away at West Ham, and at home to Fulham. Almiron is almost through, looking for a 5th goal for Newcastle. Strong from Brownhill, but no foul this time on Guimaraes. Free kick for Newcastle, just outside the centre circle, inside the Burnley half. Frustration grows for Vincent Kompany. Anthony Gordon is about to come off for Newcastle to be replaced by Matt Ritchie, and Zeki Amdouni is coming on for Josh Brownhill. Chris Sutton.
Is Anthony Gordon just sat down there?
Taking a breather.
He's coming off. Why not walk off and take a breather?
Well, maybe he doesn't know he's coming off yet. Yeah, Dan Burns just told him.
Is number 11, Matt Ritchie.
So Matt Ritchie on for Anthony Gordon. Burnley 0, Newcastle 4. Sports report on the way, then full commentary of Manchester City against Wolves. And Anthony Gordon cheered to the rafters by the Newcastle fans under the roof at the cricket field end of the ground away to our right. I don't think he'll be playing much cricket in this afternoon. Full time in the Super League, Matt Newsom.
Hull KR 20, 40, St Helens 20. Ryan Hall finishing off the scoring. Dominant performance from the Robins. They look the real deal. Full time, Hull KR 40, St Helens 20.
Right, goal at Celtic late in the second half against Hearts. Connie McLaughlin.
Celtic 3, Hearts 0. It came from the penalty spot. It was Matt O'Reilly for his 14th goal of the season after a handball inside the box. It looks as though all 3 points will stay here at Celtic Park, and it means Celtic will extend their lead to 6 points with 3 games remaining. At Celtic Park, it's Celtic 3, Hearts 0.
3 games remaining. Rangers play tomorrow. 1 o'clock kick-off at home to Kilmarnock. Corner for Burnley. Matt Ritchie's first touch was a very clumsy thumped back pass that Dubravka couldn't get to.
Yeah, it was awful. Gave away the corner.
Goodmanson's delivery towards the far post. Attacks the header and in. Lobbed header. Dan Burns stretching, trying to clear it, couldn't get there. And some of the Burnley fans are on their feet. Miserable afternoon for Burnley. It's not going to change the result, but they do have a goal to cheer about. Dara O'Shea has it. Burnley 1, Newcastle 4.
You know what, O'Shea is a fighter, he's a grafter, and this is a quality header. The ball stood up towards the back post, he's 7-8 yards out, and it's a textbook header, looping back over Dubravka into the far corner. Wonderful header, too little, too late though.
5 goals in the game. Burnley with just the one of them. Dara O'Shea. 4th goal of the season, 3rd in the Premier League. But it will not make any difference. We are into the 87th minute of the game. Clean sheet gone for Newcastle. Ross County leading Hibs 2-1 now. Even worse news for Livingston. They're going down, 4-1 down away to Motherwell. Nottingham Forest 3-1 up at Sheffield United. Still Fulham 0. Brentford 0 in the Premier League. Ipswich promoted, finishing 2nd in the Championship today after their win over Huddersfield. You'll have your chance to react to that on 6:06 tonight. Leeds against Norwich in the playoffs, Southampton against West Brom. Birmingham beat Norwich today, but they go down with Huddersfield and Rotherham. Here come Newcastle with Harvey Barnes, who's zipped into a central position, lays it off to Matt Ritchie. Ritchie's cut back with the right foot is blocked, and that will be a corner for Newcastle. So Ritchie's first touch actually gave the corner away, and Burnley have scored from the corner.
I don't know whether you were reading that he got an HGV licence.
I did not know that.
Did you not know that?
What, recently?
Yeah, I think in the last month. How many do you think lorry drivers have played Premier League football?
I had absolutely no idea, Chris. Good question you pose. Corner for Newcastle. 4-1 they lead. Ritchie's delivery with the left foot, headed away powerfully from the edge of the 6-yard box. Newcastle, who are going to be moving up to 6th in the Premier League, above Manchester United, 2 points above Manchester United, 4 points behind Tottenham, having played a game more than the pair of them. There's the ball into the feet of Livramento. Neat turn inside the box, looking for the cross into the far post. That's dealt with. Goodmanson clears on the turn. Up in the air it goes. Fofana on as the substitute now for Burnley. Brings it forward. Tackled by Lewis Hall with the socks rolled down. Hair matted to his forehead in the wet conditions. 89th minute of the game. Burnley 1, Newcastle 4.
Yep, Livramento for Newcastle deserves a special mention as well. Blimey, he's got some energy, hasn't he? You know, Kieran Trippier, losing him for a while. Livramento, a smart piece of business, and the more games he's playing, the better he seems to be getting.
Here's Cullen for Burnley. Ball didn't reach Berger on the edge of the area. Harvey Barnes, fresh legs, bringing it forward for Newcastle. Lays it off to Joe Linton. Newcastle come looking for a 5th in the 90th minute of the game. Ritchie with a right-footed ball. Barnes bursts into the penalty area, lays it off to Ritchie, shot straight at Muric. Might come back to Ritchie again. The rebound bounces just past him, and Burnley can bring it out.
Wonderful from Barnes, wasn't it? Wonderful setup.
Here come Newcastle again. Edge of that Burnley penalty area. Anderson on the ball, lays it off to Kraft, I think is out there. Then the turn from Anderson on the edge of the box. Here's Barnes. Barnes 25 yards out, gives it to Ritchie. Ritchie's come in field this time. Then Joe Linton across the face of the penalty area. Almiron lays it off to Guimaraes. Wide it goes to Livramento. Lots of running and movement still from the Newcastle players coming forward, giving Burnley a real chasing and a right pasting this afternoon. Guimaraes to Joe Linton, slowing it down now and bringing the ball back to the halfway line.
Through. Just talking about that setup from Harvey Barnes. It made a forward run, right hand side of the box. They describe it as a bit of a pirouette as he laid it back to Ritchie, who fired straight at Muric. But some of Newcastle's football has been excellent, has been devastating this afternoon.
The lead 4-1. 5 minutes of added time. we are into it. So a terrible afternoon for Burnley, great one for Nottingham Forest. Maz Faruqi watching them at Bramall Lane.
We are about to head into 4 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this match here, Ali. Still on top, Forest, they still lead 3-1. Taiwo Awoniyi coming on as well to get some late minutes at the end of this match. A late strike for Sheffield United might put a seed of doubt in it, but it looks like at the moment Forest are going to see this one out for a valuable 3 points.
Sander Berge, right-footed shot way over the crossbar and behind for a Newcastle goal kick. 4 minutes of added time remaining. Henry Moran's had his feet up at Brentford Fulham this afternoon.
Well, it's felt very end of season here. Brentford 0, Fulham 0 into 6 minutes added time. I would wager it's going to finish 0-0. We'll wait and see. Brentford 0, Fulham 0.
Thank you, Henry. More Premier League football tomorrow. 2 commentaries on 5 Live. Brighton Villa at 2 o'clock. Liverpool Tottenham at 4:30. The Miami Grand Prix in full from 8:30 on 5 Live tomorrow on Sports Extra. Toulouse Harlequins in the second European Cup semi-final in the Rugby Union. Chelsea Bristol City in the WSL. There's a commentary on Sports Extra at 6:45 tomorrow. On BBC One tomorrow, coverage starts at 10-2 in the WSL of Manchester City against Arsenal. Manchester City's women 4 points away from winning the title. Livramento bursting through for Newcastle. Harvey Barnes to his left-hand side. Livramento might go it alone, looking for the cutback now. Couldn't find Barnes. O'Shea's there to clear. Newcastle might keep this ball in play. They will with Ritchie. Ritchie plays it back to Joelinton. Guimaraes comes running towards him. Lovely flick from Guimaraes to Joelinton. All the tricks coming out now. Pace from Barnes. Barnes' shot. Murich's save, and away it goes for a corner to Newcastle.
A couple of brilliant moments from Newcastle. First of all, Livramento, his driving run. Eventually blocked, and then that wonderful piece of skill from Bruno Guimaraes. They've played some wonderful stuff, haven't they, this afternoon, Newcastle. This has been a stroll for them. It really has. I didn't see this coming with Burnley's form.
Burnley's good recent form and Newcastle's poor away form this season. Burnley, though, bringing the ball all the way forward here. Shot is driven powerfully from the edge of the box by Amdouni. The rebound breaks to Odebear, who lays it back to Vitinho. Everyone fancies a go now. It doesn't really matter. Closing stages of the game. Here's Berger. Makes his run into the box. Newcastle careful with the challenges. Odebear's cross into the penalty area. Dan Burn heads it away. Cullen stretches, gets a foot on the ball. Newcastle have it covered. Assignon with the challenge. Anthony Taylor didn't see anything wrong with that. Assignon plays it back here to Goodmanson. Goodmanson and Cullen exchange a little 1-2. Goodmanson again trying to burst into the penalty area. Ball gets away from him. He goes down. Burn clears. O'Shea steps in, wins a header and knocks it out for a throw. In terms of the relegation battle, things have changed dramatically over the last 24 hours or so. Luton drawing 1-1 against Everton last night. Burnley 4-1 down against Newcastle here. Turf Moor continues to empty, and Nottingham Forest 3-1 up away to already relegated Sheffield United. Last couple of minutes, Guimaraes driving forward for Newcastle. Livramento offers support on the right. Here's the cut back into the box, shot in from Barnes, that's blocked, and behind it goes for another Newcastle corner. Chris Sutton.
The wonderful passage of play from Newcastle. Guimaraes, Bruno Guimaraes at the heart of it. He has run that show in the middle of the park. Just can't pick the right pass there.
Minute to play, corner taken short. Ritchie gets it back from Joelinton. Sports report on the way here on BBC Radio 5 Live, and then the title race continues. Manchester City at home to Wolves. Kicks off at 5:30. John Murray and Chris Waddle with the commentary, and then after that it'll be your chance to have your say on 6:06. Chris Sutton here taking the calls with Robbie Savage tonight as Hall finds Almiron. We've got the Olays going in the last minute of the game. Big build up to every single pass. Almiron, little layoff here into midfield. Barnes looking to make another run through the middle. Intercepted by Ekdal. That might break to Barnes. Just spins away from him. Hefty back pass from O'Shea. Muric had to be careful with the control. Dealt with it well. Plays it out to Vitinho. Down the left it goes here to Odebear. Odebear surrounded by 3 players in the black and white shirts of Newcastle. Burnley's misery is brought to a close. They were in good form coming into this game today, and Burnley fans held real hopes of trying to beat the drop. Well, those look like distant hopes now. Thumped 4-1 at home by Newcastle. Wilson, Longstaff, Guimaraes and Isak with the goals. Chris Sutton, Newcastle, very worthy winners.
Yeah, absolutely. Newcastle outstanding. Newcastle need Europe this season. Burnley need a miracle at this moment. You're right, they did come into this game in good form, but they were brutal and blown away. It's hard to make a case for them staying up.
Burnley have 2 games remaining. They're going to have to win them both. Tottenham away and Nottingham Forest here on the final day of the season. Newcastle worthy winners, and their fans have thoroughly enjoyed it. Burnley 1, Newcastle 4.
Tell you who else.